See, when I do the camera, wherever I point, I got to do the opposite. That's how it works. So you're on my right, so I point left. He's back. It is Monday night, September 21st, 2020. Can't believe we're approaching October. This is your Breakfast Soup Raw. You know, we got Breakfast Soup on Patreon. That's the flagship show. But this is Breakfast Soup Raw. Tonight we're going to talk about Raw. Going to talk about Clash of the Champions, our pay-per-view predictions. We have all the matches now. Give a little preview for AEW and NXT this week. Talk a little Melina. Talk a little bit about Ivelisse. A few other little tidbits. It's 11:07 right now. We get a gun for a 90-minute show. So for those live, be prepared. About 90 minutes is what we're planning. Usually doesn't end up that way, but I am Don Tony, and joining along with me is
Anthony Missionary Thomas. What's going on, DT? How's your vacation, man?
Not bad. I just got back from my 5-day vacation, and I even snuck a little bit of Thunderdome Friday night. I don't know if you saw the screenshots, but this is 3 times now that WWE has invited me to Thunderdome without me registering. And all 3 times that they invited me without me registering, it's only for a Roman Reigns main event. I don't get it. Payback, the Roman Reigns, you know, where he won the title. SmackDown 2 weeks ago, the main event with him and Jey Uso. Last week, the Samoan Street. I post the screenshot. I don't get it. What is this? Is this because they know I'm not the biggest Roman Reigns fan and they want me to go, boo? I don't get it. But I have a camera in the laptop, built-in webcam. I was in the hotel room. I said, hey, you know what? All right, I'll click the link, do it. So sure enough, right before the main event, I'm in Thunderdome, and one of our viewers happens to see himself on the screen and sees yours truly sitting right next to him.
Very nice. Maybe Roman has a crush on you.
I don't get it. This is 3 times now. I mean, this is 3. I don't get it. But, you know, for the haters out there, I apologize for showing this to you. But, you know, people that have been following me on Twitter, you know, I promise everybody from this point forward, you're going to get a lot more of DT Raw Uncut personal on social media. No more talking about goofs, no more subliminal stuff, no more, you know, complaints about others. Sure, a little bit here and there, but for the most part, you're going to get a little bit more of what goes on with me behind the scenes. But I know for the last year and a half, you've seen me and my fiance repeatedly going to Mohegan Sun, getting comp for rooms, and I've had a string of good luck. I got engaged at Mohegan Sun. That's how good my luck is. So the streak continued, and some of you already seen this video. For those that haven't, let me set up the picture. When I go to Mohegan Sun with my girl, it's mostly relaxation, eat a little bit of good food, and we play penny slots. We don't play the big slots. We play penny slots. If anybody looks at all the times that I've hit jackpots in the past, it's always a penny machine. So my mom, right before we go away, she gives me an envelope. Inside the envelope is $100. She says, I want you to play the dollar machine once for me. You know, she doesn't have a lot of money, but she knows we always play penny machines, and if anybody knows anything about slot machines, the odds of winning in penny machines are a lot lower than, you know, higher denominations. Right. So I told her, I said, all right, I will play a slot machine of $1 sometime during the weekend. I'm not going to lie to you. I was going to just pocket the money and just not do it and say that I did. But I decided right before we left, I think it was Saturday night. No, it was Friday night. No, it was Friday night. I said that, you know what? I'm going to play the dollar slot for my mom. And I got, you know, for anybody that's ever watched The Price is Right, they got that game called Plinko where you throw the chips and it goes down and it lands on different amounts. I put the 100 in. I played Plinko, And I ended up with like 4 bonus chips. I started winning a prize. So I decided to screen cap the final Plinko chip that went down. And this is the result. All right, Ma, I played the dollar. That's what we're winning so far on the last Plinko.
This is it. Drop it.
Whatever it lands on, those are dollars. Yay! Don Tony wins again! Yay! Thank you, Mom. So that was the end result. $496. We made $396 profit. So that was the culmination of the weekend. Not too bad. Not too bad. The winning streak continues. So I'm in a great mood. I'm relaxed. For some of you out there, always wanted to see a picture of what my bird looked like. Not that one, but, you know, my African gray. This is my shirt. I bring this always to Mohegan Sun. It's a little good luck charm, and he came through again. So enough of the personal stuff. Enough of the personal stuff. Shout out.
Good, man. I'm glad you got a little time to get away from all the hectic city.
Yeah. You know, a lot of, you know, the COVID stuff brings you down. Stress from work, stress from personal life, stress from just overall stuff. Just needed to clear my head. And really, it's been a great 5 days so far. So I'm glad to be back. I thank everybody for tuning in. I thank you for coming back once again. Mish and I did Wednesday Night Dynamite last week. I invite everybody to go check it out, especially when we get to the Ivelisse conversation a little bit later in this show. Because Mish and I were a little bit concerned about Ivelisse Wednesday in a match with Thunder Rosa. Some stuff has come out since, and apparently we were on the right path. You know, we sensed something up, and apparently we were on the right track. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. So hey, Retribution, they got a new look. Well, that's kind of small. Yeah, you know what? Let's show this picture. All right, that is. Let's see if we could get the big picture out there. Maybe not. We'll just leave it like this. All right. Well, that is Retribution. You see, I put everything in the center so everybody could see our face while we're talking about it. That is their new look. I know a lot of people are bringing up Dune, and deservingly so, because if you look at Dune and you look at Dijakovic's mask, they do look very similar. I got to be honest with you, Mish.
I saw a lot of people, and myself included, bringing up the Bane mask.
Bane, not Dune. I apologize. Do you know? You know why I said Dune? To be honest with you, because one of our most loyal followers, loyal friends of the show, Garth, for 3 weeks in a row has been saying to me, DT, please, can you talk about Batista and Dune? Please, can you bring it up? Please. So I'm like, Jesus, all right, I'll put it up today on how Batista's got bleached skin because the planet apparently has no sun and they can't handle the sun. So he's got bleached skin. So for the last 2 hours, and I think he's even the first comment on tonight's show, please, I'm looking forward to it. Let's talk about Dune. So Bane was replaced with Dune. So there's a reason why I said Dune, everybody. It wasn't just a faux pas. I'm not that quick queuing up pictures to try to bail myself out of excuses. But yes, you're right. Bane. He looks a lot like Bane, deservingly so. I got to be totally honest with you. I have said for a month that the official reveal is what I'm looking forward to the most. The storyline has been shit. Sorry that I cursed already. The reveal is what I was looking forward to. My honest take on this is that I saw a lot of people, the usual, wannabe jokers and, stand-up comedians on social media. I look at it like Dio Madden. A lot of people thought as far as announcing goes, why is he being used as an announcer this early in his career? This guy can actually work a little bit. Dijakovic, fight forever, fight forever. Fans weren't just saying that just to get a tweet hand job from Dijakovic. Dijakovic can actually work and work well.
Sure.
Mia Yim. I still remember that tables match that sold me as far as her NXT career. Mia Yim is awesome. Anybody that follows Wednesday shows that I've been doing the last year knows I've been singing the praise for Mia Yim. Mercedes Martinez. Anybody that ever listened to you and I have a conversation about Mercedes Martinez for years and years and years knows we are big fans of Mercedes Martinez. And Shane Thorne, which he should really change his name to maybe Shane Thorne. He should go the Warrior route. He should change his birth certificate to maybe Shane Thorne. Because I read about 500 places the last 2 weeks that, Retribution is Mercedes Martinez, Mia Yim, Dominik Dijakovic, Dio Madden, and maybe Shane Thorne. Maybe Shane Thorne. Instead of getting the answer, maybe Shane Thorne. Maybe Shane Thorne is the guy that's going to get his butt kicked probably more than anybody else in this group. But Mia Yim, Mercedes Martinez, Dominik Dijakovic, and Dio Madden, they're getting a push finally. Yeah, they're in a faction. Yeah, their names are kind of corny. But these are 4 people that are pretty damn good in the ring. Where am I wrong with this? Why are people making so much jokes about this? Are they forgetting about who's behind the masks?
There's a split community of people. Like, you have one half of people, and I mean, we can even talk about our friends on Discord and stuff like that, that believe that these people can go up to the main roster based upon their own merits as opposed to being within a faction. The second half of the people remember that just, 2-3 weeks ago, Retribution was coming out there in crappy sweatpants and mismatching flip-flops and stuff. So, I mean, they have to shake all that crap off real fast. And don't get me wrong, I think the way that they looked out there tonight, albeit they look like extras from a Slipknot video, I wasn't against it. I thought it was all right. It was about time that they put a little bit more edge into the way that these guys looked. And considering that we're at the beginning of what this structure of this storyline, I'm going to give it a little bit more time before you start really getting into poo-pooing on it, because it looks like, and I know that WWE's been accused of making it up as they go along a lot of the times, but this might be one of those scenarios that you just have to let it simmer a little bit, because they're still trying to find out the decisive, or basically the foundation of the group as a whole. But it's starting to look like they have a plan. It's starting to look like things are set in motion, and this is what these people are going to look like, and this is the group that's going to be the core of Retribution. Now, I'm still not sold that there's not going to be other people that join Retribution down the road. I think that would be for the best. You keep some people under the mask, and you reveal the core eventually, because it seems like, I mean, if you read the internet, everybody already knows who's in Retribution. So that reveal is coming. But as far as already giving up on it, and people like, I can't stand the way that they look, give it a minute. Just give it a minute. Clearly they're working on it. Week to week, these people have made dramatic changes to what this group is. They initially started off as just some kind of rogue bunch of people wearing, Antifa gear. And now they're starting to look like more of a, and I know I saw a Sanity ripoff and stuff like that. You know what, WWE never got the chance to really execute Sanity. So if they want to take some of the core ideas that they had for Sanity and apply it to Retribution, I'm okay with that too. I don't see what the problem is with that,
Yeah. Couple of things. Austin Kinkle. I wouldn't put it as an Aces and 0.8s. And the reason why I say that is because when Aces and 0.8s formed, there were a lot of guys that were pretty much just journeymen. I'm not calling Bully Ray or Devon or D-Lo or any of them journeymen, but there were a few like Knox or some of them. But, it felt like a direct ripoff of the TV show. Was it Sons of Anarchy or whatever it was? Yeah. This originally was a ripoff of Antifa. throwing fire and breaking windows and standing on upside down cars. That was Antifa. WWE has changed this storyline, and if anybody's been following our shows the last 3 or 4 weeks, going back to Fox's TV 14 rating, and you might remember this, everybody, their move to the Amway Center, I told you, was going to be a dramatic change in the Retribution storyline. They were not going to break even a piece of paper in the Amway Center, and they haven't. They haven't destroyed anything. They took a major switch with this. Now, you're not going to go from wearing Antifa-like outfits to in-ring gear, like this. So they have to tweak it a little bit, and they can't look like pro wrestlers. The tag team match tonight was kind of corny because they're following rules until the very end, and this and that. I agree with you. There's going to be other members added. And as far as and we'll talk about Austin, we'll talk about Asuka in a few moments because we definitely have some to say about that. But as far as Jay Carlos, does it make any sense as far as who's behind the mask? Absolutely. They planted the seed with the Performance Center a week or two ago. So these are people who feel that they were promised, huh?
Yeah, there's a story to it. They have to do the reveal eventually, because if they don't reveal themselves, it doesn't make any sense. Why would this group come out of nowhere and cause all this havoc for absolutely no reason? I mean, you could rely on the old trope of they're just anarchists, but that doesn't even sell really in the WWE storyline unit, however you want to place it. There has to be a reason. And when they reveal themselves, we're going to find out that reason.
Right.
And I did the nose thing to sit there and point it out on the nose. That was one of the things I noticed about tonight's match. Why in the hell are these guys following the rules? You are so dead on with that. I'm like, these guys should just be kicking the crap out.
It started at the beginning of the show. They have 45, and I'm exaggerating, they have 45 members of Retribution all out causing havoc to open up the show. And then we go to commercial break, and they were so kind that every member decided to leave during commercial break. How nice of that, screw with the intro, play it backwards, upside down, eliminate this. They should have put their faces on there instead. They should have been with the mask, looking right in the mic like this. But no, when it goes to commercial and we're talking about, hot dogs in restaurants, and we come back and, they were so kind to go in the back, and it's just things like that. People have said over the years, Mish, if a wrestling company offered you a job, would you take it? And they asked me also, and you and I pretty much say the same thing. For me, it's a little different because I'm in the insurance business. As long as it doesn't interfere with our regular lives and we could work it out somewhere, we would do it in a second. They need people to look at it from the outside in and fill in the blanks, fill in tiny little details, unless they just don't care about being very detailed.
Because I think they do care, but I think that they overlook it. Because if you think about it, the biggest problem that it seems like a lot of these wrestling storylines have is that they adhere too much to wrestling storylines. Mm-hmm. The problem with originality and coming up with unique ideas is that you need people that are outside of the box. You need people that don't think like everybody else in the room. Now, there's tons of writers, there's tons of wrestlers that have seen angles and booked angles and everything else like that. And now I'm not saying let's go down the Russo path of Crash TV, but having outside sources helped in the past for WWE, and it should still be there today. I know that they've hired famous actors, they've hired famous comedians like Patrice O'Neal. They've hired a bunch of different people over the years that you wouldn't expect to have been working for WWE. Now, whether that helped in the long run or not, I'm still not sure which storylines belong to who, but you have to think that at least having that outside voice to at least say, hey, why are we doing this? This doesn't make sense. Would be appreciated by not only the fans, but appreciated by the company as well. And I think that that's the thing that they fall into. So when you notice things, and I notice things like, here's this rebellious group, this Antifa group, this anarchist group, and they're following the rules, and they're leaving promptly in a single file during commercial break. It's like, Yeah, it's goofy. It's goofy, and it's something that you would see because you're not part of the company, because you're not adhering to what the company expects you to put out.
Exactly. You could see it early on when they, there's a saying that we have all heard in our lifetime. I'm the judge, the jury, the executioner.
Right.
And when Retribution, first of all, again, which I'm just angry about, they keep saying the word, "you're superstars." You don't talk like that. But when they said, "we're the judge, we're the jury," now, they don't say executioner. Whoever's going to be feuding with them later on in the night is going to say, "Oh, you said you're the judge and the jury? Well, we're the executioners." Now, it sounds cool, and it sounds like a punchline, but if you actually think about it, if Retribution is the judge and they're convicting the WWE roster, and they're the jury and they're convicting the WWE roster, then MVP saying, "Well, we're the executioners," well, you sound like a goof, because you're the executioners from the judge and the jury that are going. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it sounds like a catchy thing to say on TV, but it makes zero sense because they're on the opposite side of the judge and the jury. And, and then
But
again.
That's what it was just a catchy thing to say.
Yeah, it was just like a catchy thing, like, hey, they'll say they're the judge and the jury, but you'll say we're the executioners.
Well, executioner is like a buzzword. It's a selling word. It's a badass word.
Goof.
It has nothing to do with the point. But,
But, Brandon, I agree with you. The core is strong enough. Mercedes Martinez and Mia Yim are going to beat, trying not to curse tonight, going to beat the piss at a lot of women on that Raw roster. Kind of feel bad for Lana. Lana is still eating plates of doo-doo because of Miro, and Mickie James eating plates of doo-doo as well. We'll talk about that in a second. Again, we all agree that the storyline has been a mess. It's been a mess. Even from with the chainsaw, cutting the rope. Boop, boop, boop. But in the end, you got Mercedes Martinez, Mia Yim, Dio Madden, Dijakovic, and even Shane Thorne.
Dude, it's a strong group.
That's a strong group. That's a strong group. And I've said, even going back to the Viking Raiders, even Keith Lee, I don't care about his theme. I don't care if they covered up part of his upper body. I want to see them used the right way on TV. Everybody upset about the Viking Raiders. What kind of name is that? I don't care if they're going to use that name. Let me see a good, portrayal of them on TV, and I'm fine with that. I mean, we've had characters over the years that have had some hokey names. I mean, I remember.
Cassius Ohno is like the first one that comes to mind. Cassius Ohno. Oh,
yeah.
It's still one of the worst ones.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember, I swear to God, this shows you how far back I go. I've been doing the hotlines since Edge debuted for the WWF at the time. And I remember several people, including yours truly, saying, I can't picture anybody ever being World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion with the name Edge. Edge. I sound like Trump. Edge. Edge. What's an edge? This is like the edge. Like when you have sex, you edge. But this, I'm talking 90s.
Dude, his actual name was The Edge.
Yeah.
In the beginning, he was in WWF. So they never thought that this guy was going to be a world champion someday. Never. With the name The Edge.
Yeah. Plus, The Undertaker. Wasn't he originally Kane, The Undertaker?
Yes, that's right.
Kane. So, I think we all got to, lighten up a little bit. At least they're now partly unmasked. We know who they are. Now, for people that don't know, we don't know Mercedes Martinez and Mia Yim's names yet. Maybe some of you out there might It may pop up on WWE's social media feed, which I think it will. If you do get it, let me know. But for those that don't know, Dominik Dijakovic, his name is T-Bar. T-B-A-R. Dio Madden is Mace, and Shane Thorne is Slapjack. Now, I went on social media immediately, and I changed their names to Slapnuts, Teabag, and Lice. You know, I mean, those are their names. I mean, Slapjack, Mace, and T-Bar. That is
they
their
sound
names.
like Transformers.
Yeah, it does. It does sound like Transformers. It does. But I don't care, man.
Yeah. No,
They're still good wrestlers.
Absolutely. And real quick to Brandon's point about having so many other people, I think the best way is I think he's right. You stay with the core group. 9 times out of 10, it should always be the core group. And the only time these masked other members of Retribution should come in are probably during big matches or during, executioner events or something. You know what I mean? Like those moments when they're supposed to show that it's not just 4 or 5 people. We have many waiting. You know what I mean? Like they should be a wild card. They should be a trick card that comes out. Definitely not something for every week. Every week would make them look absolutely silly, and he's dead on.
Mm-hmm. Also, you got the Hurt Business actually getting a 1-up on the Retribution scrubs, which is really what they are. They got to cut down on that because, once again, something that you and I picked up on a month ago, that it makes, I know it might sound nitpicking, but it makes a lot of sense. You got all these members of Retribution laid out on the floor. Why are you not pulling the ski masks off? Why are you not pulling the mask? I'm just talking in storyline, common sense. The best storylines are the ones that you kind of feel like you would react the same way in real life. You know, when it's a storyline that's based on reality. And you got all these guys laid out and nobody pulls them in. In fact, I think somebody's mask might have fell off at the very end of that segment. And, he was like in a fetal position to protect his head. I was like, honey, I don't think anybody cares what you look like in the first place, I don't know.
It really depends on what these masks are supposed to symbolize. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it would be a bad decision, at least in my opinion, of WWE to give power to the masks. I really hope they don't do anything silly like that. Not necessarily placing the masks on the level of Kane or anything like that, but even placing the masks on the level of a luchador, they can't do that. These masks just need to be something that covers their face. That's all it should be.
Do you think WWE is going to sell ski masks?
Yeah, why not? Didn't they? I saw. Now, okay, you gotta prime me on this one because I saw this earlier. I saw a red Solo cup with Street Profits on it that WWE is selling for $7.99. So is that real? Is WWE selling a reusable, disposable Solo cup?
It's got to be a 10-pack. There ain't no way one plastic cup for $7.99. Oh boy, I gotta check that out, dude.
I don't know. I saw a picture. I don't know if it was legit. Yeah.
I still, someone will check in the chat in no time. Somebody will check. Somebody we trust. I still am angry to this day that they did not do what I was pitching like mad at that time when the Boogeyman debuted in WWE. You remember that same night I went on my hotline and we were doing, I think this is like the very beginning in the Minority Report, and I said, WWE, you have to come out with gummy worms. You have to come out with Boogeyman gummy worms. They will sell like crazy. They never did it. Halloween came around. You got to sell. Even when they had the suggestion box, they never did it. They never did it. So
it was Neil, easy.
Neil, we're going to get to it, Neil. Neil, we're trying to blend the conversations in. I didn't forget about you, brother. Definitely get into what you said in a minute. We are going to talk about Aliyah. I saw it.
So are you getting ready for, speaking of Boogeyman and Halloween and everything else like that, on a side note, you getting ready for spooky season?
No, to me, it's just another day. My complex, if anybody remembers the picture or the video when I redid Deli Man. I dressed up again about a year and a half ago. People could see the background of my house. My house is not along the street. You got to walk in quite a ways. And I think a lot of kids are just like, I ain't walking all that just for candy. So my doorbell rings maybe 2 times a year, if that. I usually just have a couple of singles in my pocket, throw $1 or $2 in everybody's bags, and that's it. My mom, 100, 200, 300 bags she'll go through every year. My parents are all where they live.
Well, no, I'm just curious because this year it's going to be weird because I know that there's a lot more rules that are being set up in the schools for kids to do trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of curious, do you think that there's going to be a lot more kids this year or the exact opposite? A lot less?
Exact opposite. And there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to open their door for anybody. I mean, some people open the door and have a mask on.
Yeah, but I've seen people put their candy outside. I mean, even before COVID, you'd have people that weren't home. They'd leave a huge, jack-o'-lantern, just put your hand in and grab the candy and go.
I don't have anything here, but my neck of the woods, they would just grab the whole thing and just leave. They don't just take one and walk out. They'll just grab the whole thing. Oh, man. Yeah. By the way, like I said, Neil, we'll talk about yours in a minute. We'll get into that actually in a second. Wad, as far as Trump 2020, I'm supposed to have that discussion with Joey Numbers. Kenny Bolin actually is willing to debate me a little bit. Everybody thinks I'm like this diehard, rock hard, absolutely 1,000% loyal Trump supporter. There are a lot of things I don't like about Trump anymore. But as I keep saying, I want to wait until the first debate next week. Because in my honest opinion, when Biden can't read off the teleprompter, and once we see what we see, the election is actually going to be Trump versus ultimately Kamala Harris being president.
Right.
Because within a year or two, even if Biden is elected, Biden will probably have to step down for health issues. I want to see that first debate before I comment about anything. So,
and I'm really pushing it too. I threw it up on Twitter and I got some votes out of it to see how many people were very interested in it. And it was like a 2 to 3. Like 2 out of 3 people definitely want to see you guys match up and talk and stuff like that. And I don't want to put it together in the same vein of just a conversation. I'd love for it to be like an actual debate where somebody in the middle, maybe myself, will ask a question, and then both of you guys can sit there and review.
Absolutely, I love that idea. I'll do that with Joey.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll do that with Joey.
Sure.
Somebody has to moderate it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think it has to. You guys can't just go off on the topic and then go back and forth. I mean, obviously, all of you guys are professionals. You could, but I think it would be a little bit more interesting if there was a question to anchor everything to, each question and each response. So, but yeah, dude, I'm really for it. I've talked to Kenny a couple times. I mean, I see him on, Twitter.
Yeah, Kenny Bolin's awesome, man.
He's down, man. And I think it would.
He's going to kick my ass.
Well, I'm not even looking at it like that. I think that it would just be really fun because both of you guys, somebody told me that too. They told me before, Kenny would out-talk DT in this way. And I'm like, yeah, but nobody beats DT's research skills. If DT wants to research something, he will find that friggin' answer.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, okay, Kenny off the cuff might have a stronger edge, but I mean, as far as research,
Kenny Bolin's got to cut a promo about me, and that's it. Yeah. I'm dead. I could have all the facts in my corner about this, and he'll just say, "But look at you. You look like a tub of 50-year-old blob," and he'll just cut his promo, like he's done in wrestling, and I'll just sit there and I'll feel this big, and I'll be like, I think my battery is starting to. But we'll see. Look, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. It's absolutely going to be a lot of fun. And by the way, who asked about Zevia? Zevia. I love Zevia. I actually had a Zevia right before we started today. I had a ginger ale. Love Zevia. So just to finish up Retribution, Brandon Goins, why not just call him Mia Yim, Dijakovic? Why the hokey names? Because they don't want you to really research their wrestling. Because you see, look at it like this. I feel Dijakovic has gotten a lot of opportunities. Dijakovic had a nice career in NXT. You don't feel like Dijakovic ever got screwed. Mercedes Martinez, I'm just talking storyline. We're huge fans of Mercedes Martinez, but she's the dumb Matarazzo that joined the Robert Stone brand. It's not like WWE told her, you're going to go on Robert Stone brand. I'm talking storyline purposes. And plus Mercedes Martinez has not been there that long. So, what opportunities was she promised that she didn't get?
Maybe the women's, the Mae Young Classic.
Maybe.
Because she wasn't the first time.
Very possible.
That would be a stretch, but I could see it.
They just don't want you to associate the actual wrestler. I mean, we all know who they are, but right now they just want you to know nicknames. That's the character names. But look, down the line, maybe somebody takes the mask off and then says, I'm not T-ball or T-bagger. I'm blah, 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 blah. We got to wait and see. I think, we're trying to see, I think what people are trying to do is they're trying to go 5 steps ahead. Like, people are already trying to figure out, okay, how does someone turn and get out of the group? I still think Survivor Series, you have WWE versus Retribution, and they do almost the carbon copy of Steve Austin in 2001 when he turned on WWE and joined the Alliance.
I don't want them to do that.
That's kind of
like setting yourself up for failure. No, but it's setting yourself up for failure. I mean, isn't the whole point of this group is that we hope that they get to NWO status? Like, don't you have to kind of apply this group and the storyline to this group for success, as opposed to, okay, now that it started, let's start thinking of ways to break up the group?
No, because Hall and Nash were up and rising stars. Nash was already WWF Heavyweight Champion. They were main eventers. Scott Hall might have been just a slight tad under, but those are big names that WWF lost. You don't have a Hall, Nash, or a Hogan in there yet. If somebody defected, like Kevin Owens, like we talked about, Samoa Joe is starting to get a buzz of conversation online because he hasn't done commentary in a couple of weeks. And people are speculating, like, why is this I'll just throw this out there right now. Everybody could have had COVID. Family member could have had COVID. You don't know why Samoa Joe is off TV. Do not speculate he's joining Retribution, even though I think him and Dio Madden would be a good NWO announcing crew that kick the other announcers off and they do their own Retribution for a half hour. I don't know if it would come off on TV, but I think people their minds are racing right now. And like you said, take a step back. Let's see how it plays out. Obviously, it's going to lead to Survivor Series. It's got to lead to Survivor Series. I think WWE is going to take their best 5 and go against Retribution's best 5. So obviously they got to add another member or two because they're not going to do intergender tag matches. And let's see what happens. Who knows? Keith Lee could end up being a turncoat. Keith Lee has had 6 matches on the main roster already. Half of them have ended in DQs or no contest, I think. And he's like 3-4. Keith Lee's run so far in the main roster has not been all that spectacular.
And it didn't make sense. I mean, I know we'll eventually get to that too, but I mean, even the table spot with Keith Lee and Drew, like, isn't Drew supposed to be his friend? Why is he going over the top? See, like those kind of things, like a table spot and the way that they did that, you use that in order to amplify your dislike of somebody. You don't do it to somebody you like. You have a match with somebody you like, sure, it can go over the top, but when you're starting to do table spots on a friend, come on, it's goofy.
Yeah, Joe Punches, a reveal of Mia Yim to Keith Lee on TV would really be kind of corny. Because Mia Yim is on social media talking about that she was getting ready to move, I think, or something a couple of days ago. So they're trying to keep the characters different. I don't think Mia Yim and some, I could be wrong, but something tells me Mia Yim on social media is going to keep being Mia Yim. And she's going to get every day people saying, aren't you blah, blah, blah in Retribution? And she's just going to ignore that entirely. Maybe she does go silent on social media. But no, I don't think they're going to intertwine the two. I agree with you. But I don't think, I don't think the personal relationships are going to be the focus right now. I think it's people.
Meta. Yeah. People digging. Right now, I agree with you. When you said right now, I totally agree with you. I think something like that down the road might be interesting, but that's way too meta for a brand new couple of people that are on the main roster. You know what I mean? Like, that's too many levels. You're going to start confusing people at this point,
Brandon Jones, I thank you very much for that. I could never be head writer for even an indie show. But
sure,
I appreciate that.
Nah, you can't. Are you kidding me?
Nah. By the way,
dude, you're underselling yourself. You've been doing this for 20 years. You're telling me that you have not had the amount of, and the history shows you did. Dude, if
I'm not lead writer. One of, yes, but not lead writer.
Okay.
I'm more of the constructive. I like looking at the opposite side of it. You need someone to be, to look at it in the opposite and not be a yes person, but be the one to go against it and say, even if something is really good, you need someone to go on the opposite side and say, yeah, but you know what? This doesn't make sense. But you know what? This doesn't make sense. Yeah, but why wouldn't you do this? Or common sense, you would do this. Or that's what they need. And unfortunately, I don't have anybody like that. But as far as
you could, though. I really do, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I mean, you've been doing this for so damn long. You've been doing it longer than probably most of the writers have been working for WWE.
Maybe. I mean, that makes me old. I'm in my fourth decade doing this. 90s, 2000s, 2010s, right. Now 2020s. So, Wad, how he's visiting New York on his birthday. Best food in Howard Beach. Depends on what kind of food you want. If you like some good Spanish food, there's a place called Saffron, which is awesome. I mean, obviously with COVID, things are a little different right now, but that is an awesome restaurant. If you like Italian food, you go to a place called Bruno's. I've been there. Jason Solomonster's been there. Mateo's is another good one if you want pizza. New Park Pizza is well known, for the wrong reasons because of some tragedies that happened in 1986. The only thing that our neighborhood really doesn't have a really good one of is an Asian restaurant, Chinese restaurant. There's several, but not any real good one.
New York?
No, my neck of the woods. There's some really good sushi places. There's a very good sushi. And I'm not a sushi eater, but and as far as you asked me earlier, how do you lose weight? You don't go to the restaurants I just said, because you'll put on a couple of pounds. Trust me. So, but if you come to New York,
easy way to lose weight too. I mean, the easy way that I lose weight is what you do is you crop the actual picture. You slim it down and stretch it up a little bit.
You mean like this? You mean like this? See, like we're doing the show, and everybody, look, there you go. You I don't want to screw you. See, look, he's look how skinny he is. I could do that to myself too. I admit I do that to myself also. Is it fixed? Is it good right now? Because I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that to myself. Before I go live, I gotta keep this on the right screen. I'll look at myself and be like, my head looks a little bit round right now. I look like a basketball. So, we'll just make this a little bit smaller, and kind of like give myself a little bit of a suntan, add a little bit of color. Hey, sometimes I go a little bit too out of control and I look like Finn Balor as the pumpkin, so yeah. So there you go. And give myself a little color. The magic of video. The magic of video.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Yeah. I want to talk about very quickly what Neil brought up, and then we can have this little conversation. Talking about Aaliyah. Last week we talked about how she showed a little bit of sympathy for Murphy. She's 19. Yeah. Murphy is 31. That's legal. It's not, robbing the cradle. But
I love that that's the first place you went. Not that she felt sympathy for the guy or maybe she felt bad for the way that Seth treated him. No, the reason that she helped him, she wants a piece of Buddy's ass.
You know what? I got to look at this. What year was Test? What year was Test and Stephanie doing the dating? Was that 1997?
Oh yeah, she was young, right?
I'm going to look right now. I'm doing a Google search. Andrew Martin, God rest his soul, was, you know what? He was actually pretty young. In 1997, Test was only, this is going to kind of surprise you. Test was only 22 years old in 1997. He was only 22 years old. That makes no sense, but that is true. Stephanie in 1997, let's see, Stephanie McMahon. I think today's her birthday, too. Today's her birthday. Stephanie in 1997 was 21. They're only a year apart. Why did it seem like... You know why? I know why. Because when The Undertaker was stalking Stephanie and she was in the corner all petrified, they put no makeup on her. She had the long hair and she looked like a little child crying in the corner, like hiding from a sexual predator. They made her look like a very young girl. She was 21 years. She's older than Aaliyah in 1997.
We kept her like that until she came out there during Armageddon with Triple H versus Vince McMahon. And then after that, all of a sudden, she started wearing the makeup and doing the Princess Helmsley and all that stuff.
All right, it was 1999. So Stephanie was 23 and Tess was 24. But, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Look, me and my fiance are 10 years apart. God honest truth, we're 10 years apart. And sometimes she says that I'm even more immature than her as far as age goes. I don't know why she would say that, but no, I'm kidding. Aaliyah, I don't know how much training she's had, but the acting today was horrendous. She has had her father's eyeball get ripped out. She has had Seth do some horrible things to her brother and her mother, well, verbally. And simply because Ray says, she's 19. She's 19. She doesn't know anything. And she storms off.
Business.
I mean, all the things, I'm talking storyline right now, all the things that Aaliyah's been witness of with that evil Seth Rollins. And simply because Ray says, she's only 19. She doesn't know anything about wrestling. She takes her long hair and goes, and she storms off. And then the mother storms off too, and then Dominik storms off, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Are they gonna have that magic kiss, Murphy and Aaliyah? Is this Romeo and Juliet all over again?
Well, let's not even forget the fact that they recycled the Eddie, I was gonna say Eddie Murphy, Jesus Christ, Eddie Guerrero storyline from back in the day when Dominik and Ray was not the father to Dominik. So it was cringy kind of all the way around. It was not a, and I feel bad because I really have enjoyed the Dominik kind of coming out of Ray Mysterio, and it's been a good, like at least a sensical storyline so far. And it's like today they just cashed in all their cold chips. They just didn't care anymore. Hey, let's borrow this storyline and let's take this storyline. And
I'm telling you, that's what it is. Come on. When Seth had that paper, you knew. You had Maury's voice in your head going, you are not the father. It was more of Ray doesn't have a set of balls. That's really what it was. Look at your son, look at you, But the funny thing is that, and you saw like the mother, Angie, next to Dominik, she's wearing high heels almost the same height. So the storyline didn't even make sense. Like, you think about it. You have someone who's tall and someone who's small, and the child is tall, and it's like the parent. Look at my mom and my dad. Anybody that's ever seen pictures of my mother and my father. My father was 5'10", and my mother was like 5'3". I'm 6'4", you know? So, you know, but the point is, my mom is much shorter than my father. But when I stand next to my father, there's only like 4 or 5 inch difference. But you have Dominik standing right next to mommy, and they're only like 2-3 inches difference. I mean, there's no, like, the whole paternity thing made zero sense. It was more of, you know, like, Ray, you don't have a set of balls. Look at you. You're like a midget, you know, but
really. That's a really bad storyline, and now that you made the comparisons with Test and Stephanie, you know, I could almost see it. Could you imagine the Romeo and Juliet angle where Aaliyah and Buddy get married against the family's wishes, against both families'
Romeo
wishes?
and Juliet, yeah, that's what it is.
I know. It's just, it's so
corny. They're gonna have that kiss.
Yeah,
they're gonna have that kiss. They're gonna bump into each other in the back. Ooh. And when they bump into each other, their faces are going to be like this close. And then they're just going to reach over and kiss each other. You watch.
So at what point does Kurt Angle bust in on Aaliyah and force himself on her? I'm kidding.
I don't know, man. Maybe Jason Jordan gets involved, too. Hey, I'm your sister from another mister. I don't know, man. I have nothing against Angie. And I have nothing against Aaliyah. But why are 4 members of the Mysterio family on television every week in storyline?
Oh, yeah.
If Ray doesn't want his wife in harm's way, and she's only 19, Seth, she's only 19. She doesn't know any better. Then Ray, why are you the dumb fucking moron bringing your daughter and mother the wife to show every week?
Dude, they're just sitting out there in the Honda Civic. That's all.
And not only that, they're on camera. You put them in catering in the coffee room or whatever. You know, I'll be right back. I got to go to TV. I'll be right back. Why don't everybody's mother and father and brother and sister go on TV now? You know, seriously, why? I'm not trying to be a jerk right now. I want anybody out there to give me a legitimate reason why Angie is on TV week after week. She's like a potted plant. And I'm not saying that to be nasty. I'm saying, like, what's her role on TV? She's not a manager. She needs to hold her husband's hand. She can't even hold it. He's got a torn arm.
Aaliyah shouldn't even be there.
Why is she on TV? For support? For support? Is she a support dog? What is this, a plane? I gotta have my bird on my plane. Why is Angie, seriously, in storyline, someone give me a logical reason why Angie is on television week in and week out. Why is Aaliyah on television week in and week out? In storyline, they're not managers, they're not wrestlers, they keep standing on the stage. This isn't like the Hall of Fame ceremony where they get to stand on the stage while they play the music. Why are they on TV? Week after week after week. I could see if Aaliyah is sneaking to try to get on TV or try to be in certain areas, but the storyline is so god-awful. She's only 19. Why? She doesn't know anything about her. Dumb fuck. You're the moron bringing her on TV. Stupid. I'm just saying storyline. It makes no sense. Why are they on TV week after week after week? Are they get a manager's license?
I was watching this with a bunch of the friends over there on Discord and stuff like that. We were all joking about this too. Why in the hell are they there? Free catering? Like, there's literally no reason for the rest of the family to be there. And Dominik shouldn't be there unless he has a match. Like, I mean, if you're talking about in storyline, maybe because of Seth that he would be there with his dad, but that's it. Ray and Dominik are the only two that should always be there, especially now, because of the way the storyline pans out. Why the hell is Aaliyah there? Why the hell is Angie there? You're right. There's no sense.
Why are they on TV? Seriously. Why are they on TV? Why are they on the rampway? Where is Postman Pierce?
Okay.
Where's Adam Pierce in storyline? Ray, you can't keep bringing your wife and your daughter on TV. Everybody's going to want... Who was it? Leo Rush. That's why we got rid of Leo Rush. He wanted his wife everywhere. You know, if we do it for you, we got to do it for Leo Rush. You know?
No, but the mom is there. The mom is there, DT, because she's protecting
the
son. She's protecting the son and the daughter.
He's turning into El Buff Bagwell. You know, why is Judy on the table? Seriously, I'm not saying it to be a jerk. I'm doing it to be funny, obviously. But I ask everybody out there, please give me one legitimate reason why every week Angie is on the rampway.
To protect her son and daughter.
Is it, you know, maybe DeSantis in Florida? Is it bring your mom and sister day every Monday night between 9 and 11? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense, man. I don't know. So anyway, Neil, I hope, I hope, you know, we answered it a little bit. So, let's see. I don't think I forgot anybody. So, let's see. Let's get into some other stuff. Very quickly, everybody. Quarter hour ratings for NXT and AEW. Going to save that for Wednesday, since, you know, Wednesday we talk AEW and NXT. You know, invitations for you. You know, welcome if you want to come on Wednesday again. But I'm pretty much going to just do the TV recap for both and talk about the ratings on Wednesday. Also, AEW is doing something that some of you may actually be interested in. Tomorrow night, Tuesday night, after the NBA is on TNT. It's going to be late night. They don't know exactly what time yet because NBA, you know, the games, they can end pretty much, you know, at any hour of the night, especially if it goes into overtime. But right after the NBA on TNT Tuesday night, they're doing a special, I'm assuming it's 1 hour. It's called AEW Late Night Dynamite. And they've already have advertised Scorpio Sky versus Ben Carter, Anna Jay versus Brandy, Matt Sydal versus Sean Spears. Chris Jericho is going to be on commentary. So, you know, it's not bad. I did get a kick out of AEW's social media. They plugged Brandy versus Anna Jay about 88 times. It's just like, this match better be good, you know, especially if I'm going to stay up Tuesday night, Late Night Dynamite. I don't think we're going to do a watch-along because I know Tuesday night, you, me, and Kev Castle are going to be on Patreon. We're going to do a three-way show Tuesday night for 90 minutes. So maybe we'll do a little live critique of Brandy Rhodes in the ring. Maybe we will, you know. Unfortunately, she won't be wrestling barefoot, but some people will know why I say that. AEW Dark this week, you know, you got your usual one-sided matches, but I think Eddie Kingston is taking on Brian Pillman Jr. So, you know, I have not been happy with the way AEW has used Brian Pillman Jr. I don't know if you have. It just feels like, you know, it almost feels like the way WWF used Eddie Gilbert and Kurt Hennig in 1983. Like they were just jobbed out. Huh?
I said, that's a hell of a reference.
Well, in 1983, Kurt Hennig and Eddie Gilbert was still like extremely young, and obviously Kurt Hennig was, you know, more well known because of his father's, you know, his history being Larry the Axe, but they were pretty much enhancement talent. The young fans loved them. I mean, they got wet every time they came out, but they would get 2 seconds of offense and then lose. They were not on the cusp of being major stars. At a garden show, you know, or at, you know, some house shows, they would get a little bit extra time to wrestle, and once in a while they'd come close to a win. But Brian Pillman Jr. has already been called Rookie of the Year. Brian Pillman Jr. tears it up in MLW. The guy actually could work really, really well. I think he is leaps and bounds further than where Eddie Gilbert and Kurt Hennig was in 1983. I don't know why they're using him like this. I hope his match with Eddie Kingston is very competitive. There's no way that Eddie Kingston is losing that match, but we will see. We will see. Hiroshima, I already told the ECW trademark story. Hell, you look at the synopsis pictures for past episodes. I got the thing on the screen,
Right.
Yeah. So, I've talked about it already. So,
Sure.
You add 2 more digits to that super chat, and I'll tell it again right now. I'm kidding. Don't do that. Please don't. Shout out to Garth. There you go. That's Dune. There's Batista. All right, we can move on. No, Batista, as I said earlier, they're doing a remake.
Did you ever watch the original? Did you ever watch the original Dune? Did you ever read the actual Frank Herbert books?
I never read the book, but I did see the 1984 movie long time ago.
Patrick Stewart as a young.
I think it was Patrick's. It was so long ago. I don't. The only reason why I remember 1984 is because somebody typed it earlier. I know it was mid '80s. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Patrick Stewart. It was one of his early roles. He played Gurney, one of the good guys, part of the Atreides, and then Sting from the Police actually played.
Yes. Right. If I could do this right,
yeah.
If I do this right, maybe I could go do pee-pee, and you could actually do the rest of the show with Dune. You could do the rest of the show with Dune. So
see, here's the thing: is I don't know what they're actually doing with Batista's character. I don't know if this is a reboot of the original series, or if this is like further. There was I believe there was 9 books made of the Dune series. There was there was original Dune, and then Hierarch of Dune, and then God Emperor of Dune, and then Sons and Daughters of Dune, and it kept going on and on and on.
Dunes,
so I'm not exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Muad'Dib's poem. I got kind of crazy with it, but I'm kind of curious what role Batista's looks like a Harkonnen.
I like how they're using the ecosystem that he can't withstand sun, that he's never been exposed to sun, and that's why he's the skin. It looks interesting. It really does. I think this is, one thing you could say, look, I don't compare the acting careers of Rock and Batista. It's like, they're an apple and orange. Like, they're both fruit, but they don't taste the same. They don't look the same. I wouldn't even classify it the same. You know what I mean? Like, you could put apples maybe in, or maybe use an orange and a banana. You don't put oranges in cereal, but you might put a banana in the cereal. They're both fruit, but they're 2 totally different types of fruit. But I got to tell you, Batista has done some characters in some movies where if he wasn't the character, I probably wouldn't have watched the movie. That's a compliment to him. Even though he despises Trump, I still compliment him. I think he's pretty damn good actor.
Did you ever see him in Hotel Artemis?
I probably did. I just didn't pay attention.
He played basically the big nurse. He was like a goon and a nurse at the same time.
I think so.
But his personality came through so well. I forgot who it was. Jodie Foster was the nurse, I believe.
Yeah. See, my girl loves his career. And what she'll do is she'll be like, honey, I'm going to put on Goodfellas. And I'll be like, okay. And then in the meantime, I see Batista on the screen. I'm like, I don't remember Batista being in Goodfellas. She's like, no, it'll be on for a second. And 2 hours later, she's watching Batista.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a talented guy. He's one of those people that, you didn't expect him to go too far after wrestling. And, boy, he proved us all wrong. Huh? So, good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
See what Cena in the Fast and Furious franchises, that's one thing, honestly. Even if my favorite actors, my favorite wrestlers were in Fast and Furious, I probably still wouldn't watch it. It's a little too over the top, unbelievable to me. I'm not trying to compare it to me, but I was in a bad car accident that had me semi-crippled for life, for real. I see these cars doing these flips, falling off of mountains, doing 25, topples and all this stuff blowing up, and then 2 minutes later they're at a bar together, having a drink and talking about what they're going to do at the gym the next day. I can't get into that. To me it's like, it's too little unbelievable, Well,
so. Don't those movies actually do better overseas than they do here domestically?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I don't think they're American-made. I mean, they're American-made movies, but from everything I've ever seen about the Fast and the Furious, they make like 50% or 70% of all their income overseas.
Yeah.
So it's one of those movies that appeals more to the international media as opposed to obviously domestic.
Somebody's saying that I should be in the movie. What? To do what? To get run over by a car? I like what?
Commentator.
What would I be?
Commentator. You'd be one of the announcers.
Oh no! Here's this goof sitting there. This goof, this guy that likes it. Not interested, man. Not interested. Hey, look. For a payday, I'll do almost anything right now. I mean, seriously. I mean, with COVID going on and bills and trying to prepare for a future with my significant other, I don't whore myself out. I mean, I'm not going to, I do have limitations, but, if I could get a little spot here and there, I'll do it. I've gotten 3 offers already to come back as a manager in indie wrestling. Swear to God.
Devin,
I'm doing it.
What is her name?
Huh?
Devin Aoki? She is fine. Devin Aoki from...
I have no comment.
Haven't you seen her? We were talking about Fast and Furious. I think
yes.
I saw her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she was in the second one or the third one, something like that.
I don't know, but they, what culture has like these lists up as far as like some of the women in these movies, and her name's come up a couple of times. So,
oh yeah, she is.
Never utilized the gel rag with her, but she's a hottie. She's an absolute hottie. So, speaking of hotties, she may not like if we actually said that, but over the years, hey, when she used to do those splits in the ring,
Tamina doesn't mind. I'm like hottie.
Melina. Let's talk about Melina for a second. Websites, already jumping the gun, saying that she signed a deal with WWE. And look, anybody that is not on the outs with WWE, even if they're not employed right now, at some point they could always come back. A lot of people thought that Melina would have been great for the Divas, the Evolution pay-per-view.
Sure.
Some people thought Melina was going to be in a Mae Young Classic. So Melina's name has popped up from time to time. So it's not like her name has been banished to getting the Chris Benoit treatment over the years. A lot of people would love to see Melina do some work again. Melina is older now, but she could still work. The problem I think that some people have is they don't think through. Like if she were to resign, where would you put her? What do you think she's going to do? Maybe she manages Zelina Vega, or maybe she teams up with Zelina Vega. And I'm not saying it because of, heritage or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, she ain't going to leap over a ton of people in NXT. She's not going to leap over Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte when she comes back, and a few others. So what is she going to do? Look at John Morrison. John Morrison is married now. So they're not together. But the point is, this guy came back, had 2 unbelievable matches, and look what they're doing with him now. You think she's going to get utilized better than John Morrison? So I think people don't think through.
She might do the legend circuit, hanging around Mickie and Trish and everybody else like that. I think she should still be a part of the company. There's no reason that she shouldn't. Yeah. But as far as making her a part of active, everyday storylines, no, of course not. And I don't know if you're going to follow this up with talking about what Melina said in response to these dirt sheets.
Yes, I am.
But I felt pretty bad when she talked about the fact that, right now she's too busy mourning the passing of her father.
Yeah.
What do you say at that point? It's like, shut up. She's clearly not coming back. At least not right now. She's dealing with some life-changing stuff, But people don't want to give her peace on this,
It pisses me off because, and this is again, when I make comments for months and years, and look, I vow to everybody that stuff that's been said, that leave it alone.
Right.
But when I talk about certain things, about websites, even with the AJ Styles thing that time, where AJ Styles himself goes to the website and says, look, you got it wrong. Instead of them saying, wow, we got firsthand, straight from AJ Styles, now you could break to the world, look, AJ Styles called us directly, and we didn't even have to buy a cameo to do it. And he cleared it up. Instead, they said, no, AJ, we don't believe you. We believe our own source instead. That is the telltale sign you stay away from those sites. Well, it happened again. And after Melina writing this statement, you think these websites would back off a little bit, show a little bit of respect, but because they hide under website names, they hide under fake pictures or no pictures or 20-year-old pictures, there's nobody there that if they happen to go to a convention, that somebody just punches them right in the fucking mouth. Seriously. And there's some of these people out there that, they hide so much that even if they showed up at a convention, you don't even know what they look like to even just curse them out in front of people. Right. So Melina, all the reports are going around, and she writes this over the weekend. She says, and I quote, "This makes my heart ache because I love my fans so much. I want you to realize that these sites that claim they know what's happening do not. How many times have they falsely reported things about me and say I'm returning? You can't believe them because they don't want to report real or correct news. They often twist things to get clicks." How many times have you heard me say that? I use tweet fucks, but she uses clicks. "I'm not signed with the WWE, but that doesn't mean it's not a possibility. My reason for this post is that it bothers me that these sites lie to fans. If I potentially get signed, don't forgive them for lying to you. I know that there are those who aren't a fan of mine, but I still care about them as I do my own fans. I don't like when people lie to you and or bring your hopes up. You deserve better than that. You should demand better than that. They think it's okay to pull these stunts because you'll still follow them, and that's fine." And as you're reading this, replace websites with podcasters, and you see how toxic it is just across, and it's not even just wrestling. Politics, it's all forms of entertainment. She continues to say, "I don't know what my future will hold, but I know 2020 has taken so much from me. From all of us, going back home to the WWE would feel like everything I've gone through was to this very moment, but we don't know what's going to happen. There's so much more than to just give someone a contract. I lost my father last month, and am I emotionally ready? I'm 41. And what am I physically capable? Is there a story available? Simply talking to the WWE makes my heart happy. I am grateful for my time with them. One day I'll come home, but when the time is right. So if it doesn't happen now, I'm sorry you thought that I was returning. It does happen. Well, these sites ruined a great surprise. You should be upset that they cheated you of that moment if it happens." So if you read between the lines, I think she'll be back in WWE. I think by 2021. Again, makes you wonder what's going on with NWA.
That's such a far, far time away at this point. I mean, I know we're only talking a few months, but it still feels like 2021 is like 6 months away. I don't know why. Maybe that's me. Maybe you feel the same way. But 2020 is like the longest year we've ever had. It just keeps getting longer and longer. And the fact that she's still mourning the passing of her father, it's like that's all more of the reason to just give her a break, man.
Yeah.
Just give anybody a break who's losing family like that,
I absolutely agree. I think within 2021, I think that is what I think she would fit perfect with WWE? Similar to what AEW is doing with Serena Deeb. Like, I think WWE needs a few producers that are women. And I'm not saying this is sexist, but, we heard about Warrior's wife, God rest his soul, Dana Warrior, helping women's division a little bit. We always hear about, before it was Dean Malenko and this person and this person. And you got Steve Corino and Adam Pearce. And I think they need like 1 or 2 Serena Deebs to help with the women's division a little bit. They have some women, but I think Melina would be perfect for that.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, the one selling factor that Melina had over a lot of other women is sex sells. And she was very good at selling sex.
Yeah.
Melina was very good at attracting the male audiences, from her entrances to the way she moved. Even her promos were really good, especially when she was with Eminem. I think it's a weird environment that we have today where sex still sells, but you can't call it sex. I think a person like Melina can really bring out a lot of narrative from a lot of these women that might need a change of their character, or and especially from another woman, as opposed to a change of a character from a guy, saying, hey, why don't you pop out some more kitty there? Nothing like that at all. But I think Melina had a very good understanding of the psychology behind sex and how she used that in order to entice other wrestlers in storyline, and also at the same point entice the fans, not storyline. So I think she has a lot to offer. I always think that she's always got a lot to offer in that vein, in that respect.
I absolutely agree. I mean, look, the fact that she talks about how they ruined the surprise means that it's going to happen. It's just not happening right now. And you know what? Like she said, she just lost a dad. So,
right.
She's got that pain. Plus, with everything going on in the world, there's so many. It's very easy to just read, but when you feel the pain yourself, then you understand what some people go through. It's not easy. It's not easy. And this we could segue into Ivelisse. Ivelisse, unfortunately, I don't believe I have the picture in front of me, but Ivelisse, I mean, I know exactly what she said. We talked about it Wednesday. Something doesn't seem right with Ivelisse. When she wrestled Thunder Rosa, it looked like she was stiff. It looked like something is up. Now, we have since found out that she may have, I think somebody reported that she lost her home. Something, like she suffered some serious, issue personally. She also was getting ripped apart by social media for a clip that surfaced online that, we saw the match in its entirety, Thunder Rosa versus Ivelisse. You watch the whole match, you see everything as a whole, but when you single out a particular clip, it really opens your eyes. Now, all I said on social media was, everybody look at this clip and think about what you and I said on Wednesday. Well, this clip, she's in the middle of the ring and Thunder Rosa flips her over, and Thunder Rosa's going to put her in some type of a lock, and you see Ivelisse with a look on her face like, I'm sure you've seen that clip. Like, she just looks. So she basically was getting hammered on social media because, Thunder Rosa right now, she's Teflon online. She's awesome wrestler, awesome personality, awesome person, socializes with all her fans. She's a wonderful person. That's why I have 3 shirts of hers. Not because, I want a date or a phone call. I'm a fan of hers. But the thing is that Ivelisse now is saying to everybody, look, just because somebody is strong doesn't mean that it's right to keep poking and poking and poking and poking, because sooner or later you snap back. Some people tried to interpret it, that it's the storyline with Thunder Rosa, but that's more about personally. What do you think? Because a lot of people now are saying that Ivelisse has an attitude problem wherever she goes. When she works.
I was going to say, I saw that. I saw people saying that she was trying to shoot on Thunder Rosa and stuff like that. You know what? If the problems are heavy enough, it doesn't matter what job you do. It's going to be very hard to focus on your work when your mind's everywhere else. Yeah. And in a business where you're responsible for the well-being of another person, maybe take some time off. And I know it's a hard thing to say in the middle of COVID, but if your life needs your attention more than your job does, then pay attention to your life.
Yeah. I was going to try to bring up the picture Maybe I'll post it in a couple of minutes. I gotta find it. I had it put aside too, but yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it right now. But I mean, it's pretty much what she said. But look, this Wednesday we're gonna have a tag match. And you and I said on Wednesday we were hoping we were going to get that match, Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa versus Diamante and Ivelisse. Let's see how that match comes off. But, you know, if she still has these issues, you know, do you think that, you know, maybe AEW has to maybe just have a sit down with her and say, look, you know, regardless of whatever is going on, like you said, maybe she just needs a little bit of a break. I know it's kind of crazy to say in the middle of COVID because she's not working every day, but still, right. You know, her mind is, she's got a lot of stuff going on. And I think Ivelisse is way too talented. So hopefully this could turn the corner because we don't want to see, you know, any issues with her. She's extremely talented. No, of course not. So right. Now, we're obviously going to go a little bit late today. You know, we'll be done before 1, I promise everybody. I know we got in all these rants, but look, when we do Raw, we don't do a regular Raw review match by match. And let me also say this. We had 3 hours of Raw. We only had about 45 minutes of wrestling. That's all it was. It was 45 minutes of wrestling. And that might even be the high end of it. So there's no reason for us to get match by match by match, especially when some matches only went 1 minute, a la Nattie and Lana versus Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler. So, you know, we're going to fill in the blanks, obviously. But let's talk about, since we're on the topic of women, let's talk about Mickie James. Let's talk about Zelina Vega. Because we were all hoping that Mickie James would get the rematch at Clash of Champions. Last week, you know, obviously we know what went down. We've already had the discussion. And it felt really odd to see Zelina Vega just come out the way she did last week. But tonight we had a match, Zelina Vega versus Mickie James, with the winner facing Asuka at Clash of Champions. Not only did Zelina Vega beat Mickie James in a very short amount of time, but now they're advertising Asuka and Zelina Vega as the pre-show for Clash of Champions. So now you have Asuka actually doing a pre-show for WWE. Does it feel like WWE is doing what they're doing to Lana, although nobody will admit it, but it feels like that they're taking out Miro's comments in WWE out on Lana, getting squashed to tables and everything else. Is WWE maybe doing this a little bit to Mickie James because of Nick Aldis's recent comments, maybe poking the bear a little bit as well?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure because it's not going to be the first time that Nick Aldis or any husband or wife that was a wrestler or was in the company and is no longer in the company is going to say something. I mean, WWE has a history of spouses saying stuff or being a part of stuff that embarrasses WWE. With that said, I think they're abandoning this whole Asuka storyline and Mickie James storyline. It feels like they've already put the kibosh on it. So for whatever reason, WWE saw absolutely no interest in that match. That's why they gave us Zelina Vega. Because apparently it doesn't matter if you like Mickie James and Asuka. Nobody wants to pay for a match to see those two wrestle. That match means absolutely nothing to WWE. That's why they buried it and got rid of it, because there was no interest. During the ratings, it showed no interest. Nobody watched that match. And so this is what we get. We get Asuka on the pre-show wrestling Zelina Vega, and that's that. And you're going to like it because that's what you have to do.
I thought somebody had sent in a super chat earlier about Mickie James. Apparently not. That's what I was looking at. I know it was. Hold on, I got it right here. Oh, please don't tell me. Oh, I didn't close. Okay, it was Austin that said he doesn't like Asuka being on the pre-show. Look, it's the state of the Raw women's division right now. Until Peyton Royce gets a further opportunity. Tonight was a feeler. Peyton Royce was not going to get a long match with Asuka. It was a feeler. Until Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez start attacking the women of Raw. Until Bianca Belair gets a bigger role on Raw. What you're left with, no disrespect to any of the women on the roster, but you're left with women that have not been pushed away where they feel like they're contenders. There's nothing against Zelina Vega, nothing against Nattie or anyone else, but WWE has not done anything to push them as serious contenders for the women's championship. So Zelina Vega felt like it was very random. The match that she had tonight with Mickie James felt a little bit off, to say it nicely. Zelina Vega has some talent. Problem is, WWE has used her more as a manager than anything else. So, I don't know how much work she's doing in the ring week in and week out while she's mostly managing Andrade and Angel Garza. To me, Asuka's obviously keeping this belt. There's going to be a bigger feud with somebody down the line. We don't know who it's going to be yet.
Should be Mickie. I'll be honest. Yeah. I was kind of being sarcastic when I was talking before. I hope people understood that or caught that. I'm very troubled at the idea that WWE doesn't see Mickie versus Asuka as being a headline level event, a headline level match, that these two women can't go out there and tear it the hell up. And especially with the idea that's been thrown around, I don't know how true it is, that Mickie's nearing the end of her own career. Why should she not be put in a status with the champion? Why should she not be out there?
WWE won't allow it.
But that's what I'm saying. It's stupid. It's absolutely asinine. I'm sorry. You're talking about two of the best in the company right now, and WWE doesn't see a program worth any money from it? Like, that's mind-blowing to me. That's like purposely sabotaging your company. And it's not the first time that WWE's done that. WWE has a history of purposely sabotaging their wrestlers and sabotaging the company for pride. Because sometimes to them, I don't think money and the future means as much to them as their own personal pride does. And this feels like, if this is really about Nick Aldis, then they're punishing Asuka as well as Mickie James because of somebody that's not in the company.
Right. Because Asuka now is pre-show. And Asuka's match with Zelina Vega, in fact, I'll be honest with you, I think I'm going to use Zelina Vega versus Asuka as the bonus, the tiebreaker question on the Patreon contest, because I don't see that match going more than 2 or 3 minutes. Tops.
Oh.
I hope. I'll tell you, I'll be pleasantly surprised if they go 5-6 minutes and they put on a great match. Look, you give me a great match, that's fine. That's cool. That's all I want. I just don't see it. It just feels like... Real quick,
to Chad saying you can't keep going in the past, we've never really had this feud. We've never had this feud, Chad. We've never had an ongoing feud between Mickie James and Asuka.
And let me also, not to interrupt you, let me also remind Chad that Mickie James and Asuka are almost the same age.
Right. I don't know, man. I see money there. I see really good promos. I see really good psychology. I see fantastic matches. I don't know what WWE sees that they don't see that.
They don't want to. And that's why when I think of Melina, to me, it feels like it's going to go the John Morrison route. It'll be a big buzz right at the beginning. See a WWE.com article. Maybe you see a little clip special on the network about her return, and then within a couple of months she's there to enhance the current stars of WWE. That's what it feels like, and it's a shame.
You brought up Morrison a couple times. What do you think about Miz and Morrison? I know we're going on.
I enjoy Miz and Morrison. I have no problem.
Yeah.
I wish they would utilize him better. I still will go with my storyline idea that, since Miz pulled a couple of strings to get Mandy Rose traded, maybe Otis offers up the contract and in return, Miz gets Mandy back on SmackDown. That was my idea a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if they're going to go to an idea. They're kind of teasing now, storyline where Miz and Mars are going to sue Otis. It's like, come on, man.
It's so cheesy. Yeah.
It is cheesy. It is. But, hey, for all we know, they might be having a blast.
I think Morrison is one of those long-grounded foils, or not foils, but one of those additives for the Miz. You know, the one thing that I think me and you, in fact, I think all of us, all the guys, have kind of agreed on is that Miz needs somebody in order to help him establish his voice better. Like, his best promos are when there's somebody that's with him, whether it's Morrison, whether it's Maurice, but he does his best work, even Damian Sandow. He does his best work when he has somebody next to him.
Yeah.
His promos have been on fire. Miz does a great job.
Not to interrupt you, I just don't want to forget this. Let me address somebody being... Yeah, I know he doesn't mean anything bad by it. Let me address somebody being a little cute here with age. Sam says Asuka's 38, Mickie James is 41. So right away you think, oh no, Mickie James is 3 years older. Let me address this. Asuka's going to be 39. Asuka's going to be 39 in 3 days. Mickie James just turned 41 a month ago. So they're only about 2 years apart, not 3. I'm just saying.
Years,
you know,
like, if somebody's really bent over 3 years,
it's not even 3 years. It's 2 years.
No.
Mickie James was 40 a month ago. Mickie James was 40, and in 3 days, Asuka's going to be 39 or 30. Yeah, she's going to be 39.
It's a very young person that thinks 3 years apart is a big difference. I'm just saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's not. And look up Shayna Baszler's age. Look up a few other women's age. Right. You know, you have some women there that are around 40. So, you know, you can't look at one person, and because one person is 41 and someone else is 40, because you like the 40-year-old, the 41 is old, but the 40 is not. You know, I don't think anybody out there has any issue with Asuka whatsoever, and Asuka is going to be 39 in 3 days or 4 days. So, anyway, so Retribution opened up. They're in the ring. They remove part of, you know, to reveal their new masks. Shane Thorne with the hockey mask, that's a disaster waiting to happen. That son of a bitch is coming off.
Oh.
They have to do something like Bray Wyatt, add an extension on top so it doesn't come off. That looks like they have to be so careful that thing doesn't get knocked off right now. I think that will probably get tweaked more than anything else. Mia Yim kept having to adjust her mask while she's talking. She still has the same hair color as before. So, I mean, Dijakovic, it looks like a little bit of a mohawk. You know, I see people making fun of his hair. I see people making fun of the guy line, or I see people making fun of the you know, like, we don't have to get into it again, but just look at the names behind it. It's a very solid team. Gimmick might be kind of crappy. It's a solid team.
I don't even think the gimmick is crappy. I think just give it some time.
Yeah.
Give it a little more time, because they're clearly adjusting this every week. Every week they're adding to it and they're changing things. And they're trying to hone it into something that I think is going to be around for a few months. I know that you're already on the bandwagon for how are they going to break them up, but I think they're going to keep them around for a minute. I think that they're actually.
I think they're going to remain a group until WrestleMania at minimum.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think Survivor Series, I'm telling you, I feel it. I feel the swerve. I feel Team WWE versus Team Retribution. Somebody on Team WWE is going to be a turncoat. It's going to join Retribution. I think that is going. I'm telling you, it feels so much like Steve Austin, the Alliance. You know, it just, I don't know. It just, that feeling in 2001 started coming back for yours truly, and I'm like, there's got to be a swerve. There's got to be a recognizable WWE Universe household name, not Mia Yim, somebody on the main roster that has to turn their back on WWE. Whether it's my ace in the hole is Kevin Owens. I'm going to stick with Kevin Owens for now. Could change. It could be somebody else. I still think Kevin Owens. I want to see how it plays out, but I'm looking forward to it. Now we have the reveal. Now, because you had some people under the mask, and now they're not under the mask. You remember some of the names from 3 weeks ago. Some of those names aren't here right now in Retribution. They could be next week or the week after. But I agree with you. Wait and see, everybody. Take a wait and see approach. So, they also all got contracts. Problem is, we don't know if 5 people got contracts or 35 people got contracts. That's the problem also. They cut the promo that they got contracts. What about the other 35 out there? They didn't say anything. They never answered that.
Yeah, but in reality, we know that's just a PPA. That's all it is, man.
Yeah.
Paid per appearance. That's...
Triple threat match. Winners become the opponents for Street Profits. They take on the Street Profits at Clash of Champions for the Raw Tag titles. You and I said 2 weeks ago we'd like to see Dominik and Humberto Carrillo team up. They teamed up today, but they did not win. Seth Rollins and Murphy still teasing more of that fallout. Seth Rollins, he's got a lot on his mind, and he's not totally committed in the match. Why are we getting Andrade and Angel Garza versus the Street Profits again? Somebody pointed out tonight, and I don't know if this is true, but I looked quick research, and it appears to be true. Like 8 of the last 9 matches that they have had, Street Profits, in some shape or form, Andrade and Angel Garza was a part of it. Like 8 of the last 9 or 8 of the last 10 matches, Andrade and Angel Garza. I'm telling you, it almost feels like because of the COVID thing, all right, you 4 are going to be together for the next 2 or 3 months. We'll here and there put someone in the midst of it also, and but for the most part, that's what it is. I think Andrade and Angel Garza are going to finally split, but I honestly could care less about them fighting at Clash of Champions.
Right.
So this match, again, as we said earlier, the matches tonight, 1 or 2 was a little bit longer, but this match was only 5 minutes. It's only a 5-minute match. Just totally blown off. And what's bad about it is we had the opening thing with Retribution. We had a Mysterio family promo. We had the Kevin Owens show where he had Shane McMahon in the ring. They're having dissension. Shane brings out Dabba Kato. Kevin Owens brings out Braun Strowman. They're hyping up their fight later on, which we'll talk about, because I know you and I were definitely looking forward to Dabba Kato and Braun.
Yeah, absolutely, actually.
But now we're already about an hour in, and we've had a total of 5 minutes of wrestling.
Right.
So Retribution beats up Humberto Carrillo and Titus O'Neil backstage. Then they announce Hurt Business versus Retribution for later on in the night. Now, it was so fucking confusing. I'm sorry for cursing again, but Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre again. If Randy Orton could not compete Sunday and Keith Lee won, then they would face each other, Lee versus McIntyre, at the pay-per-view. It's not a 3-way. It's an ambulance match. Once again, Keith Lee match ends in a DQ. This time, he actually wins the match because Randy Orton comes out and attacks Drew McIntyre. The attack was great. And it pretty much just strengthens the match we already knew was going down. McIntyre versus Orton, ambulance match, Clash of Champions. Randy Orton cutting another promo felt like the same promo he cut a month ago, leaning into their pay-per-view match. Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre's match was great, but once again, it leads to nothing. What'd you think of the match?
Well, like we talked about before, the actual match between Drew and Keith Lee ended up being cacas. It didn't make sense, the level of violence that Drew brought to Keith. And Randy Orton, while you're right, it did solidify the match for Clash Champions. I don't know. It doesn't do anything to kind of repair the relationship between Drew and Keith Lee. And now it's almost like Keith Lee, who should be the focus of all of this, is now on the back burner already, literally after a few weeks of being on Raw. Already feels like he's the third player between Orton and Drew McIntyre, when it shouldn't have been that way. They brought in Keith Lee. He interjected, face Orton, face Drew. He should be the focus of this storyline. This should be both of those guys trying to make Keith Lee look like $1 million. It doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel that way, man.
And remember, the last pay-per-view was, well, there was, 2 pay-per-views a week apart. But Drew McIntyre beat Randy Orton.
Right.
So it almost feels like WWE was like, okay, how do we get to Drew McIntyre beating Randy Orton a month ago to their rematch at Clash of Champions? Oh, I got it. We'll throw Keith Lee in the mix. DQ, no contest. DQ, no contest. Beat Dolph Ziggler.
But does everybody forget how Keith Lee got here? Keith Lee got here because, Cross, got injured. But it was kind of like it was his last match. He left NXT, went to the main roster. Now, he's been on the main roster before. Obviously, it's Survivor Series and everything else like that. We've seen Keith Lee on the main roster before, Royal Rumble too. And I just feel like they're really not utilizing him being on the main roster this time. It's almost an after effect. It's like the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. Here's a brand new guy. You're supposed to make him look like, parting water. Keith Lee should be out there collecting skulls right now. In a few weeks, in a few months, you can pull that back down and throw him a couple of foils, or you can have Randy Orton embarrass him or something like that. But right now, that's really backwards. It's like they're feeding Keith Lee to Drew and Randy Orton.
Yeah. I think this is what school you go to. He changed his name now, and I have to do it in this voice. No, Randy! No! No, Randy! No! He thinks Monday Night Football is going to get a big rating next week. He finds aces and 0.8s more likable than Retribution. Sean Spears versus Matt Sydal, a velocity match. That will be a match for Tuesday night, late night Dynamite. Yeah, Monday Night Football may pop a good rating next week. WWE's concerned.
Who's playing next week?
I don't remember who's playing next week. Chat, who's playing next week for Monday Night Football? WWE, I think we said this a week or two ago, that they were going to put the Retribution storyline on the fast track because of Monday Night Football. Chiefs and the Ravens. Okay, all right. The Jets suck. What else is new? I'm a Giants fan, but I just can't get into the NFL right now, to be honest with you. I can't even get into the baseball. It's not the same, man. It's not the same. As far as Retribution, it's the whole storyline has been crap. As we said, it went from Antifa to disgruntled performance center wrestlers. And when you even think of that, that almost makes like no sense in if you really think about it. Like, oh, we were in the performance center, we were not treated properly. That is like really like watered down, to be lighting things on fire and turning cars upside down and throwing bricks through windows. That sounds like babies who are crying in the corner because they can't have a cookie. And as somebody pointed out on social media, they got WWE contracts. They're doing the same fucking thing that everybody that they claim they're going against. They just signed a deal. They're in storyline. They're getting paid. They're doing the same thing to the people that they're facing against. So, yeah, it's, I don't know.
That's a WWE joke, though, DT. Like, yes. They're kind of reversing it lately. But, I mean, the idea of them pushing the limits in the very beginning of a character's gimmick, like let's say Bray Wyatt, for example. Some of those early promos that Bray Wyatt was doing and saying and stuff like that was very controversial.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jack Swagger. I mean, you look at the Jack Swagger stuff that he did with Dutch. Some of that stuff was very controversial to the point that they had to apologize.
Going back.
Yeah. So
that was the worst. That killed Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger, in my opinion. Killed it.
But it was amazing when it was around. It was amazing. But then once again, WWE gets somebody says something, somebody says, hey, maybe the network says, hey, and then they turn it on its ass and it becomes this watered down version. And I think Retribution in the beginning had the potential to be something very violent that we haven't seen since the Attitude Era. Yeah. But I guarantee you weren't the first one to come up with it. I'm sure the networks were the first ones to come up with it when they said, these guys look like the rioters.
Absolutely.
Let's not put that on TV. Right. But I'm telling you, that's what happened. Yeah.
I agree. Brandon Jones, fan, he's a fan, does want to see Mickie James. WWE's actually acting stupid and they're acting like goofs. Absolutely, man.
I agree.
You know what? Let me tell everybody something else too. You got to think about this also. We don't talk demos. You want overall big numbers. I know, people think that they know everything about advertising and everything like that. I never seen so many unemployed, uneducated people on social media that know everything about cable TV advertising. But when you see that the average viewer for WWE television, many cases is over 50, why wouldn't you push a woman that's 41? I mean, I understand Aaliyah. Some people out there may have a little fantasy, 19-year-old hottie, oh my God, I wish that was me, blah, 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 blah. But, it's not like the WWE demo. Yes, they might be number one in 18 to 34. They might be in number one in 25 to 34. But the average viewer, the average age of a WWE viewer on a lot of their shows is over 50. Even more of the reason you give Mickie James a little bit of an opportunity.
Well, not just that, but Mercedes Martinez is close there. Shayna Baszler is close there. These are girls that are the future of the women's evolution. I don't see them going anywhere for a while yet, There's a lot of other girls. Yeah.
VJ says I look very relaxed. I am relaxed, man. I was on vacation for 5 days. I'm still not in the mode yet. I had to go work today, and I had to make up the Thursday and Friday I didn't show up. And people are gonna call me an asshole for doing this. I took off Thursday and Friday. I didn't put a note on my door or in my office answering machine like, look, everybody, I'm going on vacation for 2 days. I won't be here. I said the reason why we were going to be closed Thursday and Friday is because we were going to spray and desanitize the office. We were going to bomb it with sanitizer. So tomorrow when I go in, I don't have to spray here, but I have this stuff that's like really lemony, and it does kill germs. I'm going to spray that whole office. So anybody that comes in tomorrow that didn't see me today, they're going to think like, wow, you really bombed this place. So I was like, yeah, it wasn't open for 2 days. So, and Neil, he wants you to go on a rant. So I don't know what else. Anything pissing you off right now?
Well, you mean Brandy, once again, putting herself in a main event women's match when she doesn't even know how to wrestle? Does he want me to rant on Brandy? Does he want
Brandy,
me to
this
rant
is not me. This is not
on
me.
the woman? On AEW?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, I get it, dude. Look, I think that some of her best assets have nothing to do with her in the ring. I think everything from her silly figure skating stories and everything else like that are not endearing. She wants to be a part of her husband's legacy, and I understand that, and that's fine. But there are other things that supposedly she's educated in that she should be working on in order to make AEW a more well-known and substantial company. I think her being a character is akin to Dixie Carter being a character. So, I really have no respect for her on that side of things. She doesn't do anything good for anyone. in the ring, in storyline. She doesn't add anything. Is that the kind of rant you want? Because I can keep going.
No, you can keep going because I'm going to piss you off even further. I honestly, I mean, look, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And, I don't think it's that big of a deal like if it was you or I that actually got one of these and, we decided, hey, we're going to show it off and, be happy about it, but when you see them pushing a television show and the match tomorrow night is Brandy versus Andrade. Now, you look at the other matches. I'm going to take this off for a second. You look at the other matches, all right? You got Brody Lee and Orange Cassidy looking at each other. And then you have also, there you go, Karashida, Thunder Rosa. Three of they all got belts.
That's a fantastic.
Well, they won the tournament. Yeah, they won the tournament. So they all got some type of prop, which is fine. You look at this other match, the 6-man tag. They're all angry, like really intense. Like, I can't wait.
Yes.
And then you go to Brandy Rhodes, and she's holding a fucking figure. I mean, this is the hype up for the match. She's holding the figure of herself. I'm telling you, Mish, and I'm saying this joking around, it looks like she's shoving in your face, like, here, Mish, you want to keep talking shit about me? I got a fucking doll and you don't. Look, I even have one on my left boob. I bet you wish that was your hand right now. She's got a doll in her left boob and one on the screen.
It makes sense, though. TT. Since they're both made of plastic, it makes perfect sense for me. So I'm sure, she's done really well. I'm sure there's a lot of figures of Brandy out there because they're not selling. Nobody's buying a Brandy action figure. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. And I feel bad for her. So, I mean, I guess she might as well just shove them in with the rest of the plastic. Good for her. And her just god-awful wrestling contributions. Whatever. Yes. So
for the rest of the show, I'm going to just do this. I swear to God, I'm going to do this. I don't have like another bobblehead to put in my boob, so I'll put this Prince doll in my boob. I mean, you're hyping up a match. And I'm saying this in storyline. I hope Andrade beats the piss out of her because you're coming off on TV that you're having a match and it's the Dark Order, she's and she's like this with the doll. I'm telling you, it's almost like this for Mish.
Everything else, you're right. Everything else is a fight scene. It's like a UFC, like there's one person over here and there's another person over here and they're about to fight. And here's Brandy like, well, I got fingers.
Oh man, let's couple of more super chats. So we're gonna start wrapping this up. Ken terminated by DQ. Since you brought up Keith Lee's main roster run this far, it makes him pray that Rhea Ripley never gets to the main roster. I got news for you. I know that was addressed to Mish, but as Mish answers, keep this in mind. That's happening Wednesday.
Yep.
Number one contender to Io Shirai's title. I think both you and I said that we think Rhea Ripley is going to win that match Wednesday. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that she is too. I don't see her going up to the main roster too soon. And I can understand why he's worried about Rhea going up to the main roster because lately WWE hasn't done a phenomenal job with some of these people that have come up. Some of them are okay, but for the most part, it's been a rough ride for a lot of these NXT, these NXT graduates. I think with the women's division, though, the women get a little bit more than the men do. I mean, we can still look back at what they did to Aleister Black, and the fact that he still hasn't recovered is ridiculous. We can look at what's happening now with Keith Lee, and it's a little ridiculous. But I think with the women, get a little bit more than the men do. And I'm not saying that they get more airtime or anything like that, but I mean, I think they're treated with a little bit more weight. You know, when Shayna came up there, and obviously you got Mercedes Martinez coming up there and Mia Yim, but, you know, they treated her like a badass. I never got the feeling like they were trying to make some of these girls look bad. Even Bianca Belair being up there for a minute, she came off as a badass, even as goofy as tonight's promo was. I don't know if you saw the
workout.
Yeah, with the workout guy making him look like a big.
Anybody know who that was? I thought he looked like a young Chavo Guerrero Jr.
I thought it was Chavo Guerrero's great grandkid or something like that. I mean, that guy looked like a young Chavito, absolutely. But they've always given a little bit more to the women. I mean, you look at Sasha and Bayley, even though they had some really awful promos and stuff like that, and some of the matches turned out cacas, WWE tried harder with the women than they did with the men, at least as of recent years. So I understand your worry about Rhea Ripley. At the same time, though, I don't think that she would go through the same thing that the men are.
I agree. Rhea Ripley, you could see that they see she seems like the next big women's star to come out of NXT. Yeah. There's been other women who have graduated from NXT to the main roster. She seems like on another level. You look over the years, you could separate, you could take everybody who has made it to the main roster, but there's only a handful you feel like truly got to the next level. Rhea Ripley is on that list. She is. She really is. Since we're mentioning NXT, we'll just stop with the NXT convo for the rest of the night. I just want to bring up one thing that's really pissing me off. We already talked about the gauntlet match.
Yes.
2 men will start in the ring. Every 4 minutes, another competitor will enter. The only way to be eliminated is by pinfall or submission, not over the top rope. Last man standing will be the number 1 contender to face Finn Balor at NXT TakeOver. They have announced the wrestlers who will be in this gauntlet match. You and I both agreed Kushida versus Finn Balor is probably the money match. These are the combatants, and I don't know how you feel about this list. 1, I'm not enamored by it, but number 2, WWE's been doing something that is really pissing me off. And I think this banner is the perfect example of what they've been doing that's pissing me off. These are the wrestlers that are in the gauntlet match. Now, the list doesn't grab me.
They need to redo these photos, man. These photos are not flattering.
In all of the years of being a wrestling fan, even if you want to just start with WrestleMania 1, every year, boxing, wrestling, no matter what it is, you always list the performers' names on the marquee. I have noticed this with WWE for the last 3 weeks, and it almost seems like they're doing this as a way that you should know their names. And we're not going to give you their names. You need to look up their names, or you need to learn their names. Does that look like a gauntlet match for the number 1 contender to take on Finn Balor? All they did was plant 5 faces on here. Now, I know eventually they'll come out with another photo, but even that one that I showed you with the Battle Royal, most of the photos that's WWE's been floating around is the same template as this. It didn't even say Battle Royal.
I think you're looking too deep into it. I think it's lazy Photoshop work. That
is god awful. They have done this.
Somebody didn't do their job, DT. That's what you caught. I don't think it's some kind of like cerebral thing where you need to know all of our wrestlers and we're not going to show you the names. I don't think it's anything that political. I think it's literally somebody just didn't do their job right. Simple as that.
Who do you see coming out of this match? You still go with Kushida?
I think I'm going to have to. I think that's the one that makes the most sense.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'll go with that. What I was doing was I was pulling up this. This was last week's or the week before. That's what they did. No names next to the wrestlers. None.
I think
that was 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I mean, I don't think I have last week's handy, but in fact, last week I think did I do one for last week? I maybe didn't because you and I did the show together. But, you know, you could be right. Maybe it is just being lazy. But that is awful. Like, I tried to find it with the marquee names on there as well.
Right.
Nowhere to be found. And this was all of a sudden. So, anyway. So, you know, that's going to be NXT, AEW this weekend. This is for you, Mish. Hiroshima says that Brandy has moldy feet. Hiroshima.
Wow.
Hiroshima.
You know what they say. That's all I can say is that you know what they say. So,
you know, that's the funny thing. When we did the first ever video, we did a test video of this show on Patreon. I don't have it handy. But the first ever video thing that I did this year, I did a little test run with Mish, and we did a little Patreon show. And the first ever graphic that we ever popped up on the screen was a picture of Brandy's feet. And I don't remember who sent the question to us, but it was just Brandy's feet. That's the first ever video thing that we ever did. I may even have the screenshot still. I don't think I have it here now, but the first ever video thing that we ever did was a shot of Brandy's feet. I swear, I wish I had it handy, but I don't think so. I was going to put it on the preview for tonight's show because I put a little collage thing, but yeah, that was the first ever thing. It was Brandy's feet. So I have it in an archive.
Feet wearing the MAGA hat?
No, it was just her feet. Remember in the little picture box, I put a picture of her feet. You know, it was like nicely painted and all that. So anyway, somebody tried to do the boob thing. Neil Ray, I'd look. I mean, I don't have boobs like I used to, but you know, that's what it is. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, look at this picture again. How do you do that? Like, you know, all right, you have a doll. We're happy for you. You know, you're doing a decent job behind the scenes. We're happy for you. Yes. But that honestly looks like that's for all the haters that are like upset at her. Like, here's my doll. Go shove it up your ass.
It's like you have a wonderful relationship with your husband. You have a family name. You are in the limelight. You are in the spotlight. You are beloved by millions of people over. Still not enough. Making lots of money. You're able to have your dream job. You're able to fill out your college degree. Still not happy? Oh, you just want to physically ruin wrestling now. Oh, okay.
I'm trying to find the feet picture. I can't find it right now. You know, maybe I'll post it on Twitter.
We don't know what it looks like, DT.
Yeah, you know, I might get blocked for it too. But
don't get blocked. I've already been blocked.
I've been pretty good lately. People have been unblocking me. Like, I see a lot of people online talking about people blocking them. I've been getting unblocked by a lot of people. I don't know why. You know? Anyway. But Ken disagrees. Ken thinks that Tony Atlas and Gene Snitsky might disagree. I don't think Brandy has moldy feet. I don't think there was ever a claim of moldy feet. But it was funny after you made that comment about her feet, and then all her pictures, her feet were cut out of it. Like,
yeah, that was crazy. I don't know why.
Like every beach shot, her feet were in the sand.
People immediately associated that with me and Joe, and I don't know. I never felt that was fair. I didn't think that we were the ones that started the idea of Brandy's feet. I thought that was kind of like it was just an unsaid thing that people all kind of recognized, but it got pinned on us, you know.
Pat says that people are blocking me because I'm getting soft. I'm having fun. I'm smiling. I'm relaxed. We're having a ball. If you know, it's funny because, you know, look, I'm not trying to stir anything up. And I made a vow to even Mish. You know, people want to talk stuff, you know, truth eventually comes out. But two things I'll say right now. And my fiance said it to me over the weekend. She said to me, she says, all those times you told people out there on how people so-called friend smile to your face and are stabbing you in the back repeatedly, all right, people understand, examples of that now. It's not a big deal. It is what it is. But just leave it for my fiance when Pat says that I'm soft now. That's why people are unblocking me. Like a few people have said that, I'm digging myself a hole, and I'm digging a hole and I'm putting myself in, I'm digging a hole and eventually it's going to catch up to me. And maybe they're right. Maybe, because I even said it to my fiance because I needed this vacation over the weekend. And she says, don't you think you're pushing a little bit too hard with the shows and stuff right now with all the other things going on? And I said, no, I'm having fun. And I said, do you think I'm digging myself a hole? And she says, yeah. And God bless, you know what I'm going to say. And I'm like, you really think so? Because she knows what people are saying. I show her everything. I show her all the private convos, because I trust her not to say anything publicly. There's a lot of people out there who have sent me screenshots over the last 2 years of a lot of people out there, not just one. I swear it, not just one. But when I say every few weeks, people smile to my face and stab me in the back, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But when I said to her over the weekend, I said, you really think I'm digging myself a hole? And she says, yeah. I said, you're serious, right? She says, yeah. She says, because in order to have a great foundation of what you do, you have to dig a hole. She says, that's foundation number 101. And her point was that people are saying you're digging a hole like you're digging a hole to make a foundation of what we're doing. Trying to get some opportunities in 2021 that I lost over the years. My choosing. Nobody screwed me over. But it ain't going to happen overnight. If Mish and I have the opportunity to go on a big network because we're both doing video, especially on Monday nights, we're going to grab it. But the only way that opportunity comes is by trust, repetition, people seeing, the format, seeing what we're doing. So it's not something that happens overnight. So right now, the idea is we're building a foundation, and we see where it goes. But, Pat, we're having fun. We're smiling, laughing. Everybody here is laughing. It's lighthearted. Wrestling kind of sucks right now, so we try to make the best of it. We crack some jokes. There's no angst or animosity here. No. So if that's being soft, I'm soft. So, but you're just trying to change the subject because we were talking about Brandy's feet, her moldy feet. So, but Mish, it was funny. I mean, let's be honest. When that happened that time, and her next set of pictures, her feet were cut out, and there were two beach pictures where her feet were inside the sand. I was like, whoa, that's pretty.
It was funny because she already had the pictures previously posted. And then the original pictures disappeared, and then the new ones with the cutoff feet. Yeah.
Yeah. T85, I don't think Mickie James is much taller than Zelina Vega. He says that she lost to a 4-foot midget.
Yeah, Zelina Vega really tiny, DT.
She's small. Her body is small. But I don't think she's short. I don't think she's a 4-foot midget.
Physically short, yeah.
Is she really?
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, look up their heights. I don't think Zelina Vega
is 5'1".
Okay,
according to Wikipedia.
Mickie James, what, 5'3", 5'4"?
Yeah, 5'4". I'll be damned.
Yeah, she's not that much taller.
I thought she was 5'7" at least.
3 inches is a podcaster's penis. It's about. That's it. That's 3 inches. That's not that much of a difference. I think 3 inches is probably Dominik and Angie tonight. So get me started on that.
Nick Aldis is a foot taller than her. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's I don't think it's that much of a difference. So anyway, Zelina Vega beats Mickie James in 4 minutes. I don't know where you go here with Mickie James. You think Mickie James could join Retribution?
Oh, come on. Why are you going to put the teasing thoughts
I would put her in NXT. I think Io Shirai and Mickie James could tear it up. Maybe Triple H will give her some opportunity.
With the idea of WWE putting people like Finn Balor down there and Breezango down there,
Yeah.
I am not against Mickie James going down there to NXT and having some matches with those girls. You know what? That is a brilliant friggin' idea. Absolutely.
I thought Naomi, cut out the glow stuff, let her attack Io Shirai, but Naomi.
Mickie has a lot more to teach young and up-and-coming NXT stars than Naomi does. And I'm just being honest. I mean, if you compare promos between the two, if you compare in-ring work, psychology, Mickie James is spades on all of those over Naomi. I mean, if you want Mickie James to go down to NXT to teach people, that's a damn good pick.
Well, we'll see. I utilize her. It's not like she doesn't know how to wrestle. She's pretty damn freaking talented. I told you, I saw her last indie match back in 2000 and whatever it was, 2, 3, 4. I think it was around 04, 05, before she went to TNA. She wrestled Danny D'Amato in an intergender match, and she kicked ass that night. She tore it up in Jersey. She took on Danny D'Amato. I was there. And this was right before she went to TNA as Alexis Lurie. And tore it up. So she can help a lot of stars of tomorrow. And, you don't always have to have somebody flat on their back and pinned as a way of helping someone else. Because I got news for you. Mickie James could have a 6-7 minute match with an up-and-coming star and win. And an up-and-coming star also won because they hung toe-to-toe with her. WWE falls into this trap where older person must be pinned and pinned quickly. And that's their way of bringing the other person to the next level. I don't think this match tonight helped Zelina Vega all that much.
Huh? Not even just that. She'd be a great locker room leader. She would be a road agent for those girls down there. I mean, she's not going to be the person to sit there and screw around. If anybody's going to keep people in line in a good way, it would be Mickie James. Like, you're not wrong. I think that you kind of hit a home run with that statement. I think the idea of Mickie James going down to NXT and having these fantastic matches with these girls, at the same time being a locker room leader, it puts a lot more value on who she is to the company.
I think Zelina Vega having a good match with Asuka in defeat will help Zelina Vega more than Zelina Vega beating Mickie James the way she did tonight. Zelina Vega could actually elevate herself further by having a great match in a losing effort against Asuka. Sometimes you win when you lose.
She needs to look like a contender.
Yeah.
She needs to look like somebody that will lose this time and will Rocky her way back up to the top.
Yeah.
She needs to lose. She needs to take her whippings. And then she can come back and people will believe her character a little bit more.
Yeah. Apollo Crews beating Cedric Alexander. Apollo Crews had Ricochet in his corner. Ricochet distracted Cedric. This was all a setup. If Apollo beats Cedric, Apollo gets Lashley on Clash of Champions. Every champion has to defend their title. Lashley was only one of two people that we didn't know who the opponent was by this time during the night. So with this win, Apollo Crews takes on Lashley. To me, again, it just feels like filler. I don't think there's any chance whatsoever of Lashley losing this title back to Apollo Crews anytime soon. Don't see it. Dolph Ziggler and Arturo Ruas had an interesting brawl on Raw Underground. At times it was a mess. But in the end, I like little things like grabbing the mouth and stuff like that. Ruas.
He did one thing I was absolutely floored by, and I thought it was amazing. He did the jugular punch. He punched him right in the jugular.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that could almost be a gimmick finisher. Yeah. Can you imagine if you just grabbed somebody's neck back and just punched him in the jugular and it knocked them out or something? Like, I thought that was like, well, there's an interesting finisher move or a setup move. Yeah. Punch a dude clean in the jugular and pretend it, I don't know, stops blood flow or something. But I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I loved it. Yes.
Ruas is a legitimate badass. And Ruas, you could tell sometimes that he could have easily put him in a submission move and won in a second. But because this is choreographed, he couldn't do some of the things that he wanted to do and was giving opens for Ziggler to, do something. But Ziggler did smart things, like you said, punch him in the jugular, put his hand in his mouth. And Ruas, I honestly thought Ruas was going to win that one, but Ziggler won. And I tell you, this week might have been my favorite week so far of Raw Underground. And that comes off of 2 weeks that I thought was very disappointing. Like, after the 2 members of the 4 Horsewomen that were fighting, after that night, the next 2 weeks was subpar. Tonight, it felt like they got back on track. Seth Rollins cutting the promo, as we said earlier, the whole paternity thing. This is obviously going to lead, as we said earlier, to Romeo and Juliet stuff with Aaliyah. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting if Rollins starts acting like a father to Murphy. Like, do not even think about being around her. And Seth Rollins is going to have to play daddy for Murphy. And Aaliyah, Ray is going to have to, he's going to play daddy for Aaliyah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be goofy, dude. It's going to be goofy. It's already goofy. Tonight, we kind of said it earlier, but tonight's direction with Dominik and Seth and the whole Mysterio clan really took a U-turn, really went bad. Like, there is nothing about this new direction with Aaliyah and Buddy Murphy that I care one iota for. I really don't. I liked the idea when it was father and son going against Seth and Buddy. I liked the idea that Dominik was coming into his own and he finally won the match. And, you know what I mean? Like, he was becoming a man in the eyes of Rey Mysterio.
You can see what's going to happen. Dominik is they're going to do a segment with Dominik telling his sister, I love you, you're my sister, you stay away from them. And the more Ray and Dominik say stay away, she is going to sneak. You're going to see her open a dressing room, and Murphy's going to be inside, and she is going to sneak and be around him. And there's going to be 10,000 cameras, and there's going to be all over TV, and for some reason, no one like Murphy or someone else is going to watch the repeat. It's like the cameras are not supposed to be. That's what's going to happen. They're going to tell her no, and the more they tell her no, she is going to go against them. I don't know.
It's like the Andy and Jay storyline. Remember that?
Yeah.
When he was trying to entrap Jay at the hotel room or whatever?
Yeah. But she wore the bloomers. I remember she was like old. She had bloomers on because they can't reveal. So.
Right.
Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler beat Nattie and Lana 1 minute. That's all it was. Riot Squad at ringside. Their commentary was very.
We got those teardrops, which are kind of interesting. I will say that was
Yeah, it was. When we get to predictions in a second, I don't see any title change and going down. But Riddick Moss knocking out Eric in Raw Underground. Braun having. What did you think of Braun Strowman and Dabba Kato? Did it live up to the hype?
Need more of it. It was pretty short. What was it? 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
2-3 minutes. But for what it lasted, it seems like Dabba Kato's got to get some revenge on Braun Strowman. This draft needs to come quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe you leave Braun on Raw. Maybe you leave him on Raw.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I love Braun and Raw Underground. I know you said that the last couple of weeks have been bad for Raw Underground, or at least not as enticing to you. Braun coming out there last week in Raw Underground was fantastic.
I loved it last week. We loved it.
He belongs there. He really belongs in Raw Underground. So if they're going to have the draft, they can't move him. They can't move him to SmackDown. They're going to kill that.
Yeah. We had Asuka versus Peyton Royce. Didn't last very long. in Billy Kay, I don't know if Billy Kay is now Peyton Royce's manager. I don't know if WWE's having second thoughts about the split. I thought maybe you trade Billy Kay to SmackDown since Mandy Rose, if she remains on Raw. But
give
the
her
match,
a line over there.
yeah, I mean, the match ended early because Zelina Vega attacked Asuka. Try to add a little fuel to the fire for Sunday, but, it is what it is. And the main event, the Hurt Business versus the 3 members of Retribution, T-Bar, Mace, and Slapjack.
Yes.
It, I guess, Hurt Business. Yeah.
I love that. Jerry Lawler was on fire with that one. His name stands for "This Boy Ain't Right."
Yeah.
I laughed. I mean, it's very rare that I laugh at a Jerry Lawler quip these days, but that was funny. I like that one.
Yeah. It's, look, we don't need to get into the gimmick or the names or anything like that. We got to remember who is behind it. The match, something's got to change with the 30 people around ringside. Finally having the entire roster come out is finally, because you and I have been saying this for well over a month. Even last week when the Hurt Business came out, like, where was the rest of the roster? Were they out having ice cream? Did Mr. Softy truck come outside? Was Piss Milk Shit Guy outside and threatening to blow up the place, and they were afraid to leave? In fact, I'm surprised that guy hasn't gotten arrested yet, that he's part of Retribution. Seriously. I'm telling you, he should be outside right now that he's part of Retribution, that he wants a WWE contract as well. I will make a bet with you. Within the next month, he is arrested, and they will have footage, because he records himself. He's going to have footage yelling and screaming that he wants a WWE contract, that he's Retribution, and he's going to do all this stuff. That guy
got shot. He ain't going to come back there.
Yes, he will.
He was shot with a gun and put in a hospital.
He got arrested a month and a half ago. You didn't see the footage? He came back there a month and a half ago and was,
just being loud is nothing. But him actually doing what he was doing last time, no way, dude. And especially now with the Sonya Deville shit that happened, no way he even gets that close. No way.
What'd you think of Tozawa getting devoured? I'll be honest with you, man. People saying that segment with Tozawa and R-Truth and Little Jimmy, I'm not trying to be a jerk over here, but everybody that went on social media and said that segment was too soon because Shad Gaspard drowned in the ocean, honestly,
I didn't even think of that.
Lighten the fuck up. So, because they're on... have a hot chocolate. Ease up a little bit. It's a fucking beach. It's the ocean. I think people are just doing that just for a reason for people to pay attention to their social media.
See, that's the problem. You know what? It's those kind of fucking people, these people that freak out because they did a skit next to the ocean. And are now trying to pin it on, like, WWE knew better. They did this in order to mock his death. Stop it. This is the reason why a lot of storylines suck, is because every damn storyline that they come out with, they have to make sure it doesn't offend or trigger anything in anybody. Mm-hmm.
I just did a social media search, and I'm seeing people immediately talking about that. Talking about how repulsive it was to do the beach thing. It was beyond bad. Why is R-Truth reenacting Shad Gaspard's death?
Come on. What the fuck are these people talking about? Sorry.
And some people just didn't have the balls to even say it. They were like, WWE,
These are the people that should be ostracized. These ones that get so triggered by anything and have to attach it to something horrible. There's no way in hell that I believe that WWE did that angle in order to make fun of Gaspard's death. No way in hell.
I didn't even think of Gaspard. I was just happy a Little Jimmy was back and R-Truth bringing me back to my childhood. Calgon, take me away.
Yeah, I was laughing at the Calgon reference. I'm like, Jesus. When was the last time you heard a Calgon reference?
Yeah.
30 years ago?
People need to lighten up. Seriously. like I said, I have brought it up so many times. People out there will just looking for attention. That's all it is. It's just looking for attention. But other than that, that's pretty much. We saw tonight, and I loved it because that revealed once again people who claim they follow NXT on a weekly basis but didn't know who she was. Brianna Brandy is the interviewer at Raw Underground. She's had a handful of NXT matches since last year. She's been featured a few times. Brianna Brandy doing a little bit of interviews for Raw Underground. I liked it. I think she will. Yeah, that's their Brandy. But she's Brianna Brandy. It's not Brandy Brianna. So,
it's funny because they could have just called her Eden Styles. Surprised they didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, because we have AJ Styles.
No, but Eden Styles was Brandy's name.
I know.
She was a WWE.
Okay. But we have now AJ Styles, so they're not going to use the same last name. In fact, that's why I don't even think they'd even use Shane for Shane Thorne. They use the nicknames, obviously, but I don't know. I thought tonight's Raw, they covered up the lack of in-ring action tonight very well. Because Raw Underground I liked tremendously, and the other in-ring action was only about 35, 40 minutes tops of wrestling. So in a 3-hour show, they hit it well. They hit it well. When I put up the results after and I looked at it, I was like, wow, that was a lot of matches for such a short amount of time. I wonder how the Thunderdome people felt about it. Because they were going 10, 20, 30 minutes with no wrestling at all.
Yeah, I saw a few yawners out there tonight. I don't know if you're paying attention.
Oh, yeah, sure.
There was a few more yawners than usual. I was like, oh, that's not good when the people at home are yawning on camera and you have them in multiple spots. It's just not good. It's just not good. Yeah. Because now it looks like one guy is actually 5 different people, Yeah. So.
Before we get out of here, I want to give a special happy birthday to Declan Malloy. I think the first patron we've ever had. He's still a loyal supporter. We're going to do Clash of Champions predictions now. It's quick.
Sure.
We don't have to analyze each match. I think we pretty much have an idea who we're picking. Just a reminder for our Patreon family, Tuesday night from 9 p.m. to 10:30, myself, Mish, and Kev Castle will be doing a special edition of Breakfast Soup, Patreon. Remember, Monday, maybe the name sticks, but...
Well, wouldn't it be a special edition of Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle's show?
No, not yet.
Sorry.
No. Like I said, you know what? Yeah, maybe it will be. Maybe it will be. Maybe it will be. Maybe it'll be DTKC action. I don't know. But, like I already told our Patreon family that, when we do DTKC shows, they'll happen on Patreon when there's the right topics to talk about and it's needed. But, every Tuesday there'll be a show. But I don't want people to think, oh, we're right back to normal. No, that's not the case.
Right.
But, we're just going to have a, three-way show tomorrow. Maybe it ends up being Don, Tony, Kevin Castle, Breakfast Soup. I don't know. But it'll be on Patreon from 9 to 10:30, so you're all welcome to tune in live. Like I said, everybody on Patreon has access to all the shows, all the Patreon shows now. Nobody's cut off from anything. You get access to everything. So
what was it, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m.?
9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. 90 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that 90-minute thing is to keep everybody in check because our Patreon shows, and I repeat this is the format for 3+ years, that our patrons, especially the VIPers and the associate producers, they build the foundation of what is discussed on the shows. You do 2, 3, 4 hour shows, then you're talking 2, 3 hours of stuff that patrons didn't ask to talk about. So by keeping it at 90 minutes, it forces everybody to stick to the topics, stick to the questions and stuff sent in. And, there's a saying, no dessert until you eat your dinner first. Take care of all the patrons. You have time left over, then it's time for dessert. Do whatever you want. That's pretty much the format. It's always been that way. And 90 minutes is going to stick. I ain't recording 2-3 hour shows anymore on Patreon. It's not happening. So people are getting 4 extra shows a month now. Almost every day of the week, there's something going on. Monday's ad-free, Tuesday Patreon, Wednesday ad-free, Thursday, I don't know yet. Oh, Thursday is Kev Castle, so that's Patreon. Friday is ad-free. And then one day on the weekend is one of my shows or a pay-per-view. So, you know, no, Benjamin, 90-minute shows on Patreon. Every show. Put it this way. You got 2 Patreon exclusive shows a week.
Yes.
If 3 hours of exclusive Patreon content, not including ad-free episodes of everything else, if that's not enough for you, you know, then I don't know what to tell you. But, you know, all the shows are going to be about 90 minutes. They're all being prepared to be around 90 minutes. The days of one person sending in 19 questions is over. Otherwise, I narrow it down to 2 sentences. So, you know, we spread it out. Spread it out. Right. So anyway, let's give our predictions for Clash of Champions. I'm assuming we're going to get R-Truth versus Tozawa. Who are you going with if that match goes down?
The Shark. Yeah.
The Shark.
Yes. R-Truth got to retain.
Yeah. Pat, if you think the 90-minute stuff is just a rib, watch what happens Thursday night at the 90-minute mark. Watch what happens tomorrow night, Tuesday night at the 90-minute mark. If you think it's a rib, just watch. It's not a threat. That is the format. You know, if people want to talk for 6 hours, then stay in the chat room and talk all night long. But as far as the shows go on Patreon, they have to be on a format. 90 minutes. That's it. End of story. So, Lashley versus Apollo. Lashley is the current champion, the United States champion.
Come on. Apollo ain't going to get it back already.
Yeah, Lashley's keeping that shit. Yeah, Lashley's keeping that shit. Absolutely. Street Profits defending the Raw tag titles against Andrade and Angel Garza.
Yeah, they're going to retain. I don't see that. I don't see those titles going anywhere either. Like, I mean, I guess they could, but I don't see it.
It's interesting. As I go down this list, I don't know if we're going to have any title changes, to be honest with you. Well, we'll get through it. We'll get through it. I'm going to go, you know what? Maybe, you know, I could go a different direction. Maybe Andrade and Angel Garza win the tag titles, and they do it without Zelina Vega, and then Zelina Vega goes to celebrate with them, and they say, we don't need you. We won without you. We don't need you. So,
God,
does this
be
break?
Horrible if Zelina Vega took the title from Asuka on the pre-show?
No.
Do you think
no.
WWE? I'm just throwing it out there. They're clearly doling out the punishment lately. Is there even a remote chance that Zelina Vega wins the women's title off of Asuka during the pre-show?
No. Not even a chance. Okay. If there was a women's briefcase somewhere where somebody could cash in and they do the switch from Asuka ultimately to somebody else's, Zelina Vega's just a placeholder for an hour or two, then I would say yes. But honestly, no. Yeah, I think Peyton Royce is next in line.
I mean, that is the ultimate just tit punch right there.
Yeah, no, that's look, I like Zelina Vega. I think this match will maybe turn the corner for her in-ring career. But you know what? Because I think there's got to be some type of a title change, I'm going to go with Andrade and Angel Garza to win, and then maybe they turn their back on Zelina Vega. I'm going to go with that.
I'm stuck on this only because if you really want to bring controversy back to WWE, you have Asuka lose the title on the pre-show.
You're pissing off a lot of people in the chat right now. By the way, everybody, if you're enjoying the show, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe so you are alerted immediately when videos are uploaded. I am going to post the thread for the Q&A that I promised everyone. I'm going to post that video thread either tomorrow or Wednesday. So it's going up this week. So if you subscribe, you'll be alerted right away. And one more thing that I don't do enough that a lot of you have told me to do. Right on the main page, there's a button where you could set reminders. There's like a bell for a reminder. Click that also. This way, in the future, you get reminders of when the shows are going to air. So we're going to start taking this to another level. We're ready. I just had my vacation, so now I'm a little recharged. Now we could start building on this a little bit. So, anyway, Asuka versus Zelina Vega pre-show match. Now you got to be official. I know you were trolling some people before, but now you got to pick a winner for real.
You know what? This will be my left field pick. I'm going to go with a Mistradamus pick. I think this is going to be the FU of the night. I think they might do something horrendous with this and just try to make it controversial, and Zelina Vega walks out as the champion with nobody's help.
Wow.
I think it could be an ugly moment, but at the same time, it's a script flipper.
I will go shirtless next week on this show for 5 minutes.
I'm not making it bad.
No, me. I'll go shirtless. By the way, can I say this to everyone? I know a lot of you complimented this last week, and I got to do it on the show also. I absolutely love Mish's background. Thanks, that is awesome. That is just awesome. I mean, I thought this was like some digital set. I love that. That's a real flag. That's not like a digital thing. I thought that was a digital thing, and he like put himself. That's actually a flag, and he's got a nice breeze blowing in it, and that is just awesome. Seriously, I had to bring that up, man. All this work I did in the back looks like shit compared to that. Seriously. I love that, man. That's awesome. That's a real people can't believe it. That is a legitimate flag, and he's got a nice breeze of air blowing into it right now. How awesome is that?
Yeah, there's a fan blowing down. Yeah, it's very nice. It's nice and comfy. So
yeah. So I'm gonna go with Asuka to retain. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax versus the Riot Squad for the tag team titles. I almost said Raw tag titles.
Shayna and Nia.
Yeah, it's not even a question. They're trying so hard to make this feel like something could happen. It's no.
I like the Riot. I really do. I like Ruby Riot, but Nia and Shayna are the team right now. The Riot Squad needs to catch up, but right now it's Nia and Shayna. That's the team that people want to see. So
yeah, Garth. If I get to 50,000, or if we get to 50,000 subscribers, you get a plaque or something. So not at 10. Yeah. There used to be 10. That's long gone. So Shinsuke and Cesaro versus Lucha House Party for the SmackDown tag titles. They did not say which members of the Lucha House Party are going to be in the match. Either way, I'm going with Shinsuke and Cesaro to retain.
Yeah, same. Same.
Yeah, I don't see that changing. Bayley versus Nikki Cross for the SmackDown Women's title.
I'm going to stick with Bayley, but I don't know if it's going to be a clean win. I would not be surprised to see Sasha interrupt or maybe come out after the match. Something. Sasha's going to make herself known, but yeah, Bayley's going to retain.
Yeah, me too. Bayley versus Sasha for the title is the money at Survivor Series, so I'll go with Bayley to retain too. Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn, triple threat match for the IC title. Jeff Hardy is the official champion.
Man, I want to say AJ Styles is probably going to be the one to win this, but I like the idea of Sami Zayn actually taking it.
Yeah,
Sami needs the belt. More than Jeff, more than Styles. I mean, if we're going to talk about the wrestling title for what it actually is, Sami Zayn needs a title. Sami Zayn needs a reason to be out there and be the focus of attention again.
Yeah.
So if he wins it, it wouldn't surprise me, but I think AJ Styles can win it. So.
Yeah. I you know what? Sami Zayn, he was the champion. COVID hit. He didn't want to be there. I still think he was the John that told Florida government to shut down WWE. I don't know if that'll ever. I don't think WWE ever found out officially who it was, and you can't assume, even if you're convinced. But he's back, and he technically never lost that title. And even though I like Jeff Hardy as the champion, and even though AJ Styles has been an awesome champion, I agree with you. I'm gonna go with Sami Zayn. If there's any title change, I go with that one.
Well, the reason I said AJ Styles for my pick is because I think they need the bigger star on the show.
Yeah.
So it's really. Do they want the belt on somebody that's going to bring more notice back to that brand, or do they want the belt on somebody who needs it?
Yeah.
And while I understand why Sami needs it more than anybody else in this match, I still think AJ might win it.
Okay. So you go with AJ, I'll go with Sami. Both of us do agree, though, that Jeff Hardy's reign is coming to an end.
Absolutely.
Okay. 2 matches left. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton in an ambulance match for the WWE Championship.
After tonight's match, I hope Keith Lee comes out there and puts them both in the ambulance. That would be the only way that I would look at this match and go, that's comeuppance. Keith Lee needs this. That's the only way I'm going to look at it, is if Keith Lee comes out there and beats both of them senseless and shoves them both in an ambulance. That's it. Other than that, who would win this match in a straight match? It's probably going to be Drew. I can't see Randy just taking it at Clash of Champions. You know?
I think Drew McIntyre retains. Obviously, there'll be some fuckery. Who knows if Retribution shows up. The fact that they have McIntyre's music hit when they came out to beat up Retribution might be the seed planting for Retribution to have Retribution on Drew McIntyre tomorrow, or Sunday, I should say. It would be interesting if Retribution costs Drew McIntyre the championship and they give it to Randy Orton. That would be very interesting. My only concern is, who does Drew McIntyre feud with next for that title? I'm not sold on Keith Lee, Drew McIntyre continuing.
Oh, it would be Keith Lee.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, if Randy Orton is gone, it's got to be Keith Lee.
Yeah, I see Drew McIntyre retaining. I know people would be very disappointed that Drew never got to defend the title in front of actual live fans, but sometimes you got to make a business decision. And, you know, does it make more sense to put the belt on Randy right now, or does it make more sense to put the title on Drew right now? I think Drew retains and they start building the Survivor Series, and they'll be more concerned on Raw versus Retribution than Drew defending the belt. I think Drew defending the belt will be secondary for a little while. Yeah. So I'm going to go with Drew retaining.
Wasn't there talk, though, of Randy taking less dates?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we want to listen to that news that came out not too long ago, then, I mean, the idea of Randy Orton taking the belt doesn't seem very viable.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So that leaves us one match left. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso for the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, last 2 weeks, getting a little bit angrier at the very end, maybe a little bit forced this past Friday. But obviously, this is going to lead to Roman Reigns just beating the balls off of Jey Uso. To me, there's no chance in hell that Jey Uso is getting that title. I think Roman Reigns retains.
Jey is going to be an example. Jey has to be the example. He's the perfect example for Roman Reigns to prove that he's heel. So for all the people that want to like Joe, for all the people that, you know, want to hold on to Roman Reigns as the good guy, this is going to be the match with him and Paul Heyman versus Jey Uso that's going to establish Roman Reigns as the bad guy. So, yeah, it's going to be an ugly one-sided match where Jey probably gets hospitalized too.
I don't think it'll be as one-sided, But I agree with you, though. I think Roman Reigns, maybe they have a competitive match, and then after the match is over, maybe Roman Reigns helps Jay up, shows a little sign of respect, and then beats the shit out of Jey Uso. That could end up being... Yeah.
I think it's going to be ugly as soon as that bell rings.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. But that is Clash of Champions. Look, it's not a bad card if you think about it, but I think a lot of the matches are very predictable. And again, the wild card will be Retribution if they're even a part of the show Sunday. But with that, we're out of here. Went about an hour overtime, but you know, it happens. Sure. We got into a lot of convo. You could blame some of this on Angie, if you think about it. That was probably 20 minutes of too much talking. But, Mish, any final comments? Want to plug Thursdays, Wrestling Soup?
Yeah, I think tomorrow I might be doing, tomorrow there might be a Frank and Gus. I'm not sure yet before we obviously do the three-way show tomorrow night. Of course, Wrestling Soup on Thursdays. You can check us out live on Discord. Same Discord, obviously, as the Don Tony show, as well as Kevin Castle's Patreon. Okay. I don't know. I mean, what am I supposed to say?
Well, we got to start figuring out a title for Mondays. You know, a lot of people seem to like Breakfast Soup Raw because that's pretty much the focus of the night. We'll see. I mean, there's no rush. We're still, trying to find a nice balance as far as what to talk about on Mondays. Wednesdays is pretty much everything but Raw or SmackDown. And then Fridays is like a smorgasbord. Pretty much anything goes. So,
right.
But, I think that's pretty much it. So, Mish, pleasure as always. And I'll be talking to you tomorrow night.
Peace.
Much love. Everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Lots of laughs, no tension, animosity, just nothing but good, fun, talking, wrestling, and some other stuff. Trying to keep politics off the show as well. If I know a lot of you out there do want to check out the politics, like I said, once the first debate ends, then Joey Numbers and I will have our little discussion. Mish will be the moderator. You will have opportunity to send in questions, and then maybe we'll post everybody's questions, and the ones that get the biggest, response from all of you, those are the ones that will be covered. I'll let Mish handle that. I don't need to handle everything. And that's pretty much it. So if you're one of our patrons, join us Tuesday night from 9 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing, a Breakfast Soup meets DTKC show. DTKC Soup, I don't know. But that will be Tuesday night. And then Wednesday night, I will be right back here giving you your recap of AEW and NXT. And I have the quarter-hour ratings, and they are interesting. Very interesting. If you remember what we talked about last week about Timothy Thatcher and some of the names that, although great performers, but not necessarily big ratings draws. And we'll talk a little bit about some of AEW's matches, which surprisingly got some interesting numbers. So we'll get into that as well. And any news that breaks between now and Wednesday, we'll get into. But before you all go, like I said before, if you enjoyed the show, appreciate if you give it a little thumbs up. If you are not a subscriber to the channel yet, subscribe. This way you are alerted when shows are going to be coming up. This Sunday, Clash of Champions, there will be a pay-per-view recap. Now, obviously, I didn't discuss it with Mish on the show. I don't know what his plans are Sunday. My assumption is he'll probably be doing a Wrestling Soup pay-per-view recap. So if he does a separate one, then I will be up here solo. But I hope everybody enjoys Wednesday shows. Remember, you got Tuesday night, late night Dynamite. I almost said Dynamite. And you got AEW Dark. AEW Dark, I don't have the matches in front of me. I had it before, but, I shut it down. So, but like I said, Brian Pillman Jr. and Eddie Kingston is the match that everybody is focusing on. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see by Wednesday night. We'll know who'll be the number one contender for Finn Balor's title, Io Shirai. We'll see that six-man tag with Moxley's team versus Archer's team. Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida versus Diamante and Ivelisse. I hope they tear it up. I hope they tear it up because Ivelisse is very, very talented. I like Ivelisse. So, and also remember, we'll be picking 2 winners for their choice of any AEW figure. Remember, I gave you a list of 5, and unfortunately, she was not on that list. But I don't even think Brandy's doll is on sale yet. But, we'll pick 2 winners on Wednesday. We'll announce that. And I think that's pretty much it. So, everyone, be well. Enjoy your Wrestling Tuesday. Impact Wrestling, don't forget that as well. Impact Wrestling a little bit on the back burner. They're leading up to Bound for Glory, and we will start covering that, obviously. You got Rich Swann, who's back, which we all knew. Some people actually thought he retired for real. Su Yung, they're transforming a little bit. I like Su Yung the way she is. She's got that cute look. Her character, I don't know. I think the Wrestle House, I think they're depending a little bit too much on Wrestle House. I'm a little surprised that they haven't returned to any form of fans at all. A little surprised at that. I would have thought by now you would have saw some form of fan, attendance, even if it's a tiny crowd. Because let's remember, and I'm not trying to stir it up, but let's remember, when Global Force Wrestling was doing their storyline against Impact Wrestling, they were doing baseball fields that only drew 100. And they had 7,000. Just think about that. Remember those pictures that I posted of TNA, Impact Wrestling versus Global Force, and they were in a baseball stadium that fit 6,000, 7,000. They only drew 130. Just think about that. You could reproduce that same photo, and that would be fine during the COVID era. Just think about that. They drew less during the non-COVID era. Why are there no fans at all? I mean, obviously, I know the reason why. It's not just, hey, let's open the doors and let them in. There's a lot of safety protocol that they don't want to spend the money on, and the buildings don't want to do as well. So it's not simply, hey, let's just open the doors. I understand that aspect of it. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I like Kiera Hogan. She's a talent. And you know what? I give Impact Wrestling credit for not really overdoing it with her. I feel, in my opinion, Impact Wrestling is trying to make Deonna Purrazzo Tessa Blanchard 2.0. I mean, Deonna Purrazzo is talented. WWE misused her. It's nice to see her in the position that she's in. But the way that they have gushed over her, it feels like they're trying to replace Tessa. I don't know if anybody understands that. And look, I'm on the outside looking in. I'm just saying it as a fan. It just feels like that's how they're using her. Deonna has earned her keep, no question. She's excellent. She's fine as champion. I have no problems with Deonna Purrazzo at all. But it really feels from the outside in that this is their Tessa 2.0. So, but no, guys, gals, I got to get out of here. It's late. I mean, it's 2 o'clock in the morning over here. I got to get up at 6, So one good thing about doing the shows the way they are now, all I got to do is hit a couple of buttons. The shows are online, so I don't have to stay up for hours editing and leveling out volumes. So I'm going to get out of here. Everyone, enjoy the rest of the night. Enjoy Tuesday and Wednesday, and I will be back right here on YouTube for Wednesday Night Dynamite, 10:05 p.m. Eastern, right after AEW and NXT. And join me, shall we? We'll have a good night, I promise. So, everyone, much love. Talk to you soon. Ciao.
Son, oh my.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Son, oh my.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Dynamite. You're going to have fun. You really are.